Good morning. KSL News Time is 5 o'clock. This is Utah's Morning News. I'm Tim Hughes.
And I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour.
A Utah County Sheriff's deputy has pled guilty to killing a BYU student in a crash 2 years ago.
KSL News Radio's Adam Small is live with details. Adam?
Amanda, Joseph Richards pled guilty to misdemeanor negligent homicide just days before he was scheduled to be tried for felony manslaughter. KSL.com reports this stems from the March 16th, 2021 crash that happened on 900 East in Provo, where Richardson was allegedly driving 20 miles an hour over the speed limits without any lights or sirens and ended up hitting a BYU student coming out of a Taco Bell drive-thru. KSL.com reports as part of the plea deal, if Richardson doesn't commit any other crimes over the next 18 months, the charge is going to be further reduced to reckless driving. Reporting live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
The Republican nominee for the ballot in the Utah special election is defending herself after some delegates question her eligibility. KSL News Radio's Lindsay Aerts has reaction from Celeste Malloy.
We obtained text showing some delegates and failed candidates were asking for the party's chair to confirm whether Malloy was even a registered Republican. Malloy now saying she is, and the party confirms she is eligible. But Malloy only re-registered this year. She says she didn't know her registration lapsed after not voting in Utah in 2020 and 2022.
There was so much concern about voter fraud in those elections, and I was working for a politician. I didn't want my absentee ballot from out of state to get flagged as a fraudulent vote. I didn't want my boss to be answering any questions about my vote.
Malloy also addressed why her sister's address is listed on her candidate filing form, something those texts show also concerned delegates. Malloy says she lives with her sister when she's in Utah. Lindsay Aerts, KSL News Radio.
3 Democratic candidates in Congressional District 2 will be picking their candidate to replace resigning Representative Chris Stewart during a virtual convention tomorrow. KSL News Radio's Tom Haraldson reports none of them are seeking signatures.
Party chairperson Diane Lewis says unlike Republican candidates, the 3 Democratic hopefuls are not seeking signatures to get on the ballot.
It was short time to gather signatures. It's usually 3 months, and it was 3 weeks, so pretty tough to gather those signatures, and it costs a lot of money when you're doing it, so I think they just all chose just to do the convention route.
The legislature has set the primary date for September 5th and the general election date for November 21st. Tom Haraldson, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories this hour. New details about the Wagner mercenary group's leader who is speaking out about his short-term revolt and march toward Moscow.
An angry Putin yesterday claimed the armed rebellion would have been suppressed, denouncing the organizers for betraying Russia, though never mentioning Prigozhin by name. Prigozhin also broke his silence from an unknown location, saying in an audio recording that his goal was not to overthrow Putin's government, but rather to protest Moscow's attempt to dissolve his forces into the Russian army.
ABC's Justin Finch reporting from Washington.
An update on the cleanup and recovery efforts in Montana after a freight train derailment sent cars into the Yellowstone River. ABC's Mark Remillard reports.
Montana officials say 9 cars that fell into the Yellowstone River following a bridge collapse on Saturday remain submerged.
There is still some product, some asphalt that's leaking out of some of those cars that are damaged.
Rich Calger is an incident commander working on the wreck. Officials say they've brought in a specialized dive team to secure the cars so crews can remove them using a crane. Meanwhile, Montana Rail Link, which operates the train line, along with its union and BNSF Railway, are working to reroute freight trains around the area to limit disruption to the supply chain. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
Fresh promises of less traffic, better mass transit, and even a reduction in pollution in New York City.
As soon as next year, drivers could be charged a toll to enter Midtown Manhattan, one of the busiest commercial areas in the world. Similar systems have been in place in cities like Singapore and London and boosted bus travel while improving air quality. Fans of the New York plan hope for the same.
Less congestion, better air quality, safer streets.
Fees have yet to be finalized, but one proposal would charge each driver $23 for entering the congestion zone during rush hour.
That's ABC's Andrew Dimbert reporting.
First look traffic now, and here's Andy Farnsworth.
And so far, it looks pretty good. I-15, not seeing any delays yet this morning, and I've been watching for crashes. Don't see any reported on freeways or city streets. And construction, at least at the moment, not causing any additional slowdowns. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
A new report shows a Midvale Care Center for Adults with Disabilities had horrible conditions and saw a resident die by suicide after transferring away. KSL News Radio's Peter Johnston is live with more. Peter?
Tim, Evergreen Place had a basement full of backed up sewage, no working furnace in the middle of winter 2022, and a bed bug infestation. That's according to a new report by the Disability Law Center, which focused on the case of a man named Qian Wen who committed suicide after getting transferred to another facility that didn't have adequate resources to help him. Besides the squalid conditions at Evergreen, though, the report charges other state facilities and processes with negligence that led to the deaths of 14 people since 2018, including those who died of malnutrition, aspiration, and sepsis. Possibly the biggest accusation in this report is that state regulators have a culture of protecting businesses rather than people in danger of self-harm. Reporting live, Peter Johnston, KSL News Radio.
Tubing on the Weaver River may be more dangerous this summer because of a temporary bridge. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson explains.
A bridge added near the Croydon area of Weaver River has completely blocked the popular route. Kyle Hooker, who owns Barefoot Tubing and offers tours of the river, says over 60,000 people float down it every summer. Now that there's an obstacle in the way, that could cause some problems.
I get nervous when people are getting on the river who don't know how to maneuver their craft very good, and they have a big bridge that's blocking the entire river.
Hooker plans on making accommodations for his clients to help them navigate the bridge, but he's worried that it could result in injury for people traveling down a fast-moving river without any guidance. Britt Johnson, KSL News Radio.
Netflix is taking some heat after announcing it's bringing back the movie Titanic to its streaming service less than 2 weeks after the Titan sub disaster.
I guess the question is, are you ready to go back to Titanic? For many, the answer is no.
It was promised me that you won't give up. Promise me now, Rose, and never let go of that promise.
Well, on Saturday, ready or not, as of now, James Cameron's Oscar-winning 1997 film will return to the streamer in the U.S. and Canada. The announcement is making cringy headlines, given that the Titan submersible tragedy that resulted in the death of 5 people was less than 2 weeks ago. Social media is having a field day over the insensitivity of the timing, with many calling it a cash grab. But Titanic was actually reported on Netflix's July films list before the Titan was first reported missing. Despite that, many are still calling the timing wrong and insensitive and are demanding a postponement at the very least. I'm Kim Ashley.
It is a good start to the commute on this Tuesday morning. No crashes or slowdowns to report at this early hour. We'll get a look at traffic and weather together coming up next.
Breaking news is just one ask away.
Playing KSL News Radio.
New trouble for Amazon. Everything near the parks is turned into an Airbnb. In your home, tell Alexa, play KSL News Radio. Then listen in your car at 102.7 FM.
Where do you go to celebrate Independence Day in a big way without the big budget? Fun, food, a ping pong ball drop with prizes, and of course an incredible fireworks display, a free concert at 7:30, and more. You go to Bear Lake.
She got the blue jeans painted on tight that everybody wants on a Saturday night. She got the
Celebrate freedom this year in beautiful Bear Lake with country music star David Nail live. Monday, July 3rd at Heritage Park in Garden City at Bear Lake. Bring your blankets, bring your lawn chairs. Activities start at 4. The free concert starts at 7:30. Yes, it's free. Food, fun, and fireworks. And live music from country music star David Nail. Monday, July 3rd. For lodging and more information, go to bearlake.org.
Questions being asked about the winner of the special ballot special election, Celeste Malloy, by some of the other candidates, which we are following up on this morning with the help of our Lindsay Aerts. KSL News Time now is 5:09. Time for a look at traffic and weather together, which of course we'll do every 10 minutes on the 9s. Brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates, and it's Andy Farnsworth back in the traffic center.
Well, Tim, we start off with traffic in good shape through the valley. I-15 all clear and good to go the whole way from Draper to downtown. It's been looking good so far on I-80 out of Tooele. A few heavy spots of traffic on Mountain View, mostly just people waiting at traffic lights, but not a big backup anywhere so far. Heather?
No problems through Weber and Davis counties. We're also accident-free on city streets and major freeways. You have good speeds if you're southbound I-15 between Ogden and Salt Lake. Eric?
And down to Utah County, I-15 looking sharp on the freeway. We don't have any problems from Provo and Orem all the way up to Thanksgiving Point if you're northbound. Provo Canyon, no trouble there too, going out to Heber City. And US 40 along the Wasatch Back. That's also looking pretty good as you head north from Heber City past Jordanelle Reservoir up to Park City or I-80. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
More beautiful June weather on tap today. We'll go partly cloudy skies, high of 83, and a light breeze. Overnight, mostly cloudy, 63 the temperature. We go 84 tomorrow, and a slight chance for a pop-up PM thunderstorm. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Pretty much where we started the day yesterday, 66 degrees in Salt Lake City.
Yesterday when we were talking about that Mars simulation, that building, and it's not big. Where the people are going to go. These people who did not know each other before, as far as I understand it, are going and living. They're locked in there for a year.
Yeah.
And they're going to throw challenges at them during that year. I was wondering when we reported that yesterday, what kind of a person would want to do something like that? Well, we'll tell you because we've learned more about who these people are who volunteered for it. Coming up on KSL News Radio.
Stay with us at 102.7 FM at 1160 AM, and thanks again for starting your morning with us early on this Tuesday. Your all-day companion for news.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I think my battery's dead.
With free battery testing and charging, AutoZone is here to help.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
What if I need a new one?
We have the right batteries right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what if I don't know how to connect it?
No problem. We have a how-to for you at AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
It's only a minute of news. How long could it take? I do a lot of surfing late at night. I'm looking at all my favorite internet sources, Wall Street Journals, New York Times. People throw me ideas, but when I sit down in the morning and it's time to write, it has to resonate with me. I have to have something to say about it. It is my minute of news.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
KSL News Radio and the KSL Sports Zone are counting down to the kickoff of college football with a huge giveaway. This summer, you could win a new travel trailer from Bish's RV. Family owned for 30 years. Bish's RV has always helped RVers go play. And you'll win a pair of BYU season tickets as the Cougars prepare to take on the Big 12. Enter now. Text the word football to 57500 or visit KSLSports.com/contests.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Good morning, KSL News Time, 5:15. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
the Republican nominee for the ballot in Utah's special congressional election, Celeste Malloy, is defending herself after some delegates questioned whether she was a registered Republican. I'm KSL News Radio's Lindsay Eyre.
Second, a Utah County Sheriff's deputy has pleaded guilty to killing a BYU student in a crash 2 years ago.
Third, a look at traffic and weather together.
So far, so good on the freeway corridor. I haven't seen any I-15 slowdowns. Traffic's a bit busy on Legacy as you go from northbound Legacy up towards Highway 89 in Farmington, but I mean, that's stretching just to find something to slow you down. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy today and a touch cooler in the low 80s. I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, 66 downtown.
With KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Former President Trump's aide Walt Nauta will appear before a Florida judge today. It's his term to face an arraignment in the classified documents case. As to his boss, ABC News has obtained an audio recording of the former president appearing to acknowledge that he did hold on to sensitive military documents after leaving the White House.
It is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this.
Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood.
After news broke that prosecutors were in possession of the recording, Trump claimed to Fox News that he was not referring to an actual document.
I didn't have a document per se. There was nothing to declassify. These were newspaper stories, magazine stories.
Trump says he had personal items mixed in with the documents, which is why he says he did not comply with a subpoena to return them. Reacting to the audio recording last night, Trump's campaign said the audio tape provides context proving once again that President Trump did nothing wrong at all. The president is speaking rhetorically.
Ken Nowday is a former federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York and an ABC News legal contributor. He says, as evidence,
it's devastating. It's his own words. He is recognizing that he has classified information. He is recognizing that he is showing it to people he shouldn't be showing it to.
Russian authorities say they have closed the criminal investigation into the armed rebellion led by Wagner Group chief Yevgeny Prigozhin. Russia's federal security force saying that those involved ceased their activities so they will not be pursued. Air travel still rough for some stranded at airports because of the residual effects of bad weather.
I've been wearing the same clothes for 2.5 days now. So not fun.
Greg Morris trying to fly from Atlanta to Albany, but hit cancellations over multiple days. With the countdown to summer recess underway, it's another big week for the Supreme Court. Justices could today hand down rulings on affirmative action, student loan forgiveness, and other cases. You're listening to ABC News.
Well, we told you yesterday morning about NASA starting a Mars simulation, and this morning we're learning more about the people who volunteered to take part.
Joining us live is ABC News correspondent Jim Ryan. How many people are going to be on there, part of this simulation?
Yeah, they'll be in as much as on. I suppose 4 people. There are 2 men, 2 women. 2 of them are Americans, 1 Canadian, and 1 from Romania. They all volunteered for this. They were among 4,000 people who sent their applications in. The criteria, you had to be under 55 years old, you had to be in pretty good shape, a non-smoker, somebody with a master's degree in a science-related field. And all 4 of these people meet those criteria. And so yesterday they were locked up in this simulator. It's a 1,700 square foot 3D printed tube, essentially. It does have kind of a sandbox that looks like the Martian surface. And for the next year, these 4 people will be living together, working together, solving problems together, and pretending, essentially, that they're on Mars.
They aren't necessarily auditioning for this trip, are they? Is this just to see how human behavior goes with this idea?
They are. And, the first missions probably won't go to Mars until 2050 or so. The Americans and the world hope to get back to the moon before then. But yes, the Mars is the target for 2050. These folks will be way too old. So yes, it's just to see how well these people can work together. And also, by the way, what NASA needs to do to be able to respond to these folks, how they'll handle stuff on the ground at Johnson Space Center.
Were they closed in with all the food they'll need for the year, or where's their food coming from?
Well, they'll have to learn some of it was sent in with them, but they now will have to learn how to grow their own food on this fake Martian surface. So the conditions are simulated to seem like Mars, and so too will be the challenges in growing food. So these folks will have to figure out how to do it. There is an engineer with them. There is a physician. A microbiologist is there. And so these folks are going to have to work together to figure out how to make this process work.
We were joking yesterday. This kind of sounds like the ultimate reality show. Is there an opportunity for us to watch somehow on the NASA channel or something?
No, but I suspect that NASA will be updating us occasionally. There are cameras throughout this habitat, except in the sleeping quarters. So NASA will certainly be keeping an eye. They haven't said what sort of schedule there might be for releasing information, but I suspect we'll get some kind of update soon.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Jim, thank you for that. Can you imagine, Tim, if your wife came home and said, I'd like to go be a part of this experiment on preparing to live on Mars. I'll be gone for a year.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, I can't imagine if they have families going away for that long, although certainly members of the military do that.
Well, and it's one thing to go through this simulation, but we were talking off the air yesterday about what it would take when that Mars mission comes. What kind of a person, what kind of a background or family life would you have to say, I'm going to Mars, don't know if I'll ever come back.
Yeah.
May just stay there if we arrive. Crazy. It takes a whole different mindset. But you know what?
I'm glad they're out
It's
there.
those people that take those chances that advance us in our civilization.
Right.
Always has been. That is the In-Depth this morning. Our thanks again to Jim Ryan, the In-Depth at 15 and 45.
5:19 now. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s. Brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. And back to you, Andy.
Amanda, traffic looking good this morning on both I-15 and I-80 as you travel through the Salt Lake Valley. So far, light traffic patterns on Redwood Road and Bangerter Highway. It's Mountain View that's seeing traffic filling in a little bit going from West Jordan into West Valley, especially that stretch approaching 6200 South. No slowdowns this morning so far on SR 36 in Tooele County. Heather?
No slowing in Weber, Davis County as well. We've got good speeds if you're on I-15, US 89, or Legacy Parkway heading south into downtown Salt Lake City. Now, if you're northbound on Legacy Parkway, we do have construction barrels out through Woods Cross. The left lane is open, the right lane is closed. That could slow you down just a little bit. Eric?
Not seeing any delays on I-80 through Parley's Canyon. Maybe a couple of slow-moving westbound vehicles at the moment going up over the top of Parley Summit. 215 Belt Route on the east side looks good heading north from Conwood Heights to the mouth of the canyon. And I-15 in Utah County, no problems there. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. 83 today, partly cloudy, slight breeze. Tomorrow, little breezy, 84, and a slight chance for a PM storm across the Wasatch Front. Hey, we keep those PM storm chances on Thursday, 84 the high. We'll go mostly sunny on Friday, 86. Then we turn on the furnace. 91 on Saturday, 94 on Sunday. Working into July 3rd, Monday, mostly sunny at 96. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, 66 degrees in Salt Lake City, and your 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
We were talking earlier about the controversy over Netflix re-airing the movie Titanic, which was on the schedule before the submersible ever disappeared down to try and visit the remains of Titanic. But we got a wonderful text. The guy says, or a woman, I'm not sure who it is, says, "Go Titanic movie. All the whiners can just not watch it. The world does not revolve around every single other person's feelings at every moment. If it did, then we would grieve every day for the rest of our lives and would never do anything."
Yeah.
I hear that.
We're kind of in that mode these days.
I mean, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But to try and keep everyone else from watching it or to make them feel guilty about businesses are in business to make money.
Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah. And the other thing is there's so much going on in the world. If you tried to say your Netflix and you were pulling off on anything that might have anything to do with the news headlines of the day, you probably would never air anything.
Share your opinion with us anytime on the Cyprus Credit Union KSL text line 57500.
Coming up, we'll check money news. I didn't even look and see how we finished the day yesterday on the closing bell. Let's take a little peek here before we break. Yesterday, we were down, not much really. Just off 12 points on the Dow and 19 on the S&P. But we'll see what the futures markets look like in just a minute.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. anyhourservices.com.
At Shane Company, we believe everybody is made to shine. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Shining is not for a chosen few. Like a rare gemstone, each one of us was created under just the right set of circumstances. Your moments, your milestones, your love story, all deserve to shine bright. You don't need an occasion or an invitation. You and your life are the event. At Shane Company, we handcraft our jewelry with the greatest care and hand select the most beautiful gemstones so you can shine. So put on a pair of earrings that make your eyes sparkle. Wear diamonds that light up the room. Try on sapphires in every color of the rainbow. Give an heirloom that collects new stories with each generation. We're all made to shine. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
We're watching Utah's Money, brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. Starting July 10th, Oreos will now be made with Super Mario characters. Like Mario, Luigi, and Bowser, with the exception of Princess Peach. No Princess Peach? The game they've designed is to use the cookies to defeat Bowser, then sharing your playing experience on social media with the hashtag Super Mario Oreo.
How about that? Patients with Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance can continue to receive in-network care from University of Utah Health. The two companies reached an agreement that helps provide affordable care and will last multiple years.
KSL Drives now. The UTA has received $17 million from the federal government to improve public transit and reduce emissions. The plan is to replace some diesel buses with compressed natural gas and make improvements to 6 dozen bus stops in Park City.
I wonder how much a bus costs to
Oh,
make.
wow. I have no idea.
$17 million. How many buses would that buy?
I wonder.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mentioned yesterday at the closing bell we were down just slightly, but the tech stocks actually took a pretty big hit. They were off 160 points, over 1%. This morning on the futures, they'll get some of that back, up 64 this hour. The futures of the S&P up about 8, and the Dow still down, but only 12 points.
We have no slowdowns to report to you. I love when I can say that. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah. All you have to do is get up and ride, drive the roads at dark 30.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We know what that's like. Anyway, we'll give you a check of traffic and weather together coming up next.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new place. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Tim and Amanda.
If this is the first time you've ever joined us, can we just say welcome? I hope you come back and see us again. Tim and I have been doing this for a long time, and we love what we do. But the best part of what we do always and will always be connecting with you.
How many times do we say people don't understand how much information and really love we get from that side of the radio?
Yes.
They thank us for giving it to them, but we get it back so many times.
Wake up with Utah's Morning News with Tim and Amanda, 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio. Summer celebrations are almost here.
You can light off your own fireworks until 11 p.m. on the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th, midnight on the 4th.
And the fireworks stands are open.
Even if it's green, it can still burn.
Don't burn down Utah. And come here for updates on safety and restrictions. KSL News Radio, your summertime fun companion for news.
Coming up on 529, traffic and weather together, again brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Sounds like we're off to a good start, Andy.
And so far, yeah, things are moving pretty well. I've been watching I-15 this morning, and it's been rolling all the way through the Salt Lake Valley into downtown, 18-minute travel time. So far, so good as well. Both SR 36 from Lake Point through Lake Point from Tooele City onto I-80 and then all the way over to the airport. Heather?
Everyone's at speed right now through Weber and Davis counties as well, even though we do have some construction barrels out on Legacy Parkway. That is northbound through Woods Cross. You only have one left lane open there, but most of the traffic is heading south, and right now it's going to be 30 minutes or less between Ogden and Salt Lake. Eric.
It's a 30-minute drive as well, northbound on I-15 Utah County from Santaquin up to the county line if you're going to do the whole stretch. And in between, all of the major feeders over to the freeway looking good. And Provo Canyon on 189, no problems there. Premium checking from America First is more than a regular account. In fact, it's so loaded with benefits and features it was voted best perks by Money.com. Apply for it today at AmericaFirst.com. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Let's get a look at that weather forecast for the Wasatch Front. Today, it'll be about 83 degrees. We have a slight chance of shower later on this afternoon. In fact, I see that chance of shower on Wednesday and Thursday as well. Just a slight chance right now. We'll talk more with Matt later in the morning and find out. But we'll stay in the 80s through Friday, the mid-80s. And then on the weekend, it's starting to warm up. On Saturday, we'll hit 91, lots of sun. Sunday, 94, 96 on Monday. Wonder when our first 100-degree day will be.
I don't know, but I was about to say I'll be peachy keen if we don't get to the 100-degree mark. Yeah. Don't need it, don't want it.
Right, but it could happen next week.
Happen.
Right now, it's fair skies and 66 degrees.
You're listening to Utah's Morning News with Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good morning, KSL News Time, 5:30.
KSL's top story this hour.
Summer roadwork, special coverage on Utah's Morning News.
Yeah, that season is here. Summer construction season well underway, and new Spanish Fork interchange is halfway into the environmental assessment phase of the project.
KSL News Radio's Hugo Ricard Bell has more on our series, Summer Roadwork.
UDOT representatives told those in attendance that Utah County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state.
Between now and 2050, the number of households is expected to increase by 160%. The population is expected to increase by 115%, and the number of jobs is expected to increase by 50%. And additional growth results in additional vehicles on the roads.
Its environmental assessment phase can take up to 2 years. Hugo Ricard Bell, KSL News Radio.
It may be another tough travel day for people taking flights because of lingering storms on the East Coast. There were hundreds of weather-related delays and cancellations nationwide yesterday. Greg Morris, who was flying, or trying anyway, to fly from Atlanta to Albany with his family, but his flights have been canceled on back-to-back days.
I have a 4-month-old son and my wife that I'm traveling with, and so obviously traveling with an infant makes things much more difficult.
More delays and cancellations happening for outbound flights at JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark airports this morning.
Checking the weather forecast for Utah travelers with KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson. We are back in the mid-80s today.
As we work into Wednesday and Thursday, very slight chance to see some afternoon and evening thunderstorms. They'll be isolated, and that's about it. Then we get hot. As we work into the weekend, we'll get our first nice stretch of 90s to start out July, and that could hold for the 4th of July. So 4th of July is looking like it could be quite hot.
Matt says southern Utah is looking at 4 to 5 day stretches of triple-digit heat going into the weekend.
KSL's top national stories this hour. ABC News has obtained the audio recording of former President Trump appearing to acknowledge he held on to a sensitive military document after leaving the White House.
On the recording, Trump is heard attacking the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, and referencing a document that Trump claimed Milley had compiled.
This totally wins my case, you know. Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. See, as president, I could have did less about it. Now I can't.
The contents of the recording, made during a July 21st, 2021 meeting at Trump's Bedminster, New Jersey Golf Club, have been previously reported and are quoted in the Justice Department's 37-count indictment.
ABC's Aaron Kotersky reporting.
A senior U.S. official is sharing more details about Wagner mercenary group's leader.
The official says Prigozhin and his troops got closer to Moscow than previously reported, about 100 miles from the Russian capital. Faster progress than they imagined, shooting down helicopters and a fighter jet along the way. An angry Putin yesterday claimed the armed rebellion would have been suppressed in any case.
ABC's Justin Finch reporting from Washington.
Salt Lake City homeowners can use a satellite image program to help them decide when and how much water to put on their lawns. KSL News Radio's Peter Johnston has the details. Peter?
Tim, it's a program developed by Utah State University and basically uses an AI system to, quote, read satellite images of categories of plants in your yard. Different categories of plant means different amounts of water, and weather data also plays a role. So when it's colder and wetter, there's less need to douse your grass. Interested homeowners can get access to a report that shows how much water they stand to save by changing their sprinkling practices. City officials are already seeing some interest from homeowners who are calling in, and they say that water use in the city is down 5% from the average of the last 3 years. Reporting live, Peter Johnston, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic now, and here's Andy Farnsworth.
And right now watching I-15, so far so good. Coming south through Weber and Davis County, it does seem like there's a more consistent southbound flow of traffic than there is on the northbound side from Provo to Salt Lake, but both of them are moving pretty well for the most part. A little bit of heavy traffic on Legacy right now in that stretch between Woods Cross and 500 Southwest Bountiful. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Get ready for a blockbuster week from the Supreme Court. Some major decisions will be announced starting this morning before the court takes its summer recess.
The most high-profile decision is on affirmative action. The court will rule on whether colleges can continue using race as a factor in student admissions. The Supreme Court will also rule on President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan and a case looking at whether creative businesses can refuse to serve LGBTQ customers. Another decision will impact religious Americans. It pertains to how accommodating employers have to be when employees skip work for religious reasons. We'll have you covered right here as those Supreme Court decisions are announced. Lindsay Watts, ABC News, Washington.
Victims' relatives say they welcome a decision in the Idaho College killings case to pursue the death penalty for suspect Brian Kohberger.
28-year-old Kohberger, who was a criminology PhD student at nearby Washington State University, is accused of killing Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Gonzalez's family says they're grateful the death penalty is on the table.
ABC's Allison Cossack reporting.
A federal government nutrition program designed to assist women and children is seriously underutilized in Utah. KSL News Radio's Mark Jackson reports.
Funds from the Special Supplemental Nutritional Program for Women, Infants, and Children, or WIC, hope to reduce infant deaths, premature births, improve children's diets, and help mothers' maternal health. One way it is hoped to get the word out is a grant provided to a local outreach nonprofit, Comunidad Materna, in Utah. Community members learning how $372,000 might knock down barriers that may be preventing many Latina and Pacific Islander women from using that program. Mark Jackson, KSL News Radio.
In just a matter of hours, we'll have some big planes flying overhead. KSL News Radio's Adam Small is live with details. Adam?
Amanda, today the U.S. Air Force and the Utah National Guard will celebrate 100 years of aerial refueling by doing a statewide flyover. For a century, aerial tankers have not only served as refueling stations in the sky for fighter jets, they're also used for evacuations and carrying passengers and cargo. Starting at 9:40, you'll hear the flyover at Utah State University. It then passes over the state capitol just before 10 a.m. It'll then only take around 2 hours to go from Capitol Hill all the way to St. George, then loop all the way back up to Park City. Reporting live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Yeah, we thought that was cool, but everybody should have a little heads up.
Yeah, for sure. So you don't think, what are those?
Exactly what's going on. We've got some lane restrictions northbound Legacy Parkway and Woods Cross. No other problems, though, to slow you down, at least early this morning. We'll check your traffic and weather together next.
Start your day with all news in the morning. Then hear David Dujanovic talk about the biggest stories from 9 to noon.
Crashes every single day because of road rage.
A concern for Utah drivers.
Breaking news, important talk, all morning on KSL News Radio.
You know, in Box Elder County, they're all about the bucket list. Want to go birding at the premier birding destination in the western United States? Well, check off the Bear River Migratory Bird Refuge. How about land art? The spiral jetty and sun tunnels will leave you inspired. Or stand on the spot where the Union and Central Pacific Railroads joined and forged the destiny of a nation. Yep, Golden Spike National Historical Park is like no other place. Check. Splash, boat, camp, or fish your day away? Willard Bay State Park will guarantee a good time. Soak in a natural hot spring with the highest mineral content in the world? That would be Crystal Hot Springs. You'll feel rejuvenated. Eat at Utah's original steakhouse. Maddox Ranch House is perfection. Check. A 1920s diner. The Idle Owl Cafe will transport you back in time. As you empty your Box Elder County bucket list, you'll find a whole new set of adventures to fill it up again. Fill up your bucket list at visitboxeldercounty.com.
Keeping an eye on any flight delays that might slow you down if you're headed out of town, particularly if you're headed to the East Coast. We had, what did we list, 1,600 flight cancellations and delays yesterday that I'm sure had some effect on flights getting out of Salt Lake City. We'll have more on that for you throughout the morning.
5:39 now. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s. Brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Andy?
Amanda, travel through the Salt Lake Valley looks good on I-15. So far, if you're taking 215 anywhere from Taylorsville up to the airport or crossing the valley east-west from Redwood Road over towards Knutson's Corner, you're moving just fine. But Mountain View's been a little bit consistently heavy as you head through the West Valley portion at 62 and 5400 south, heading up towards the 201 freeway. Heather?
We're seeing a few more cars now heading southbound from Ogden to Salt Lake on I-15. Most of that is concentrated in the Clearfield and Layton area, but they're still traveling at the posted speed limit all the way into Salt Lake. Now, we do have road construction on Legacy Parkway, but it's northbound. Not as many cars are going that direction, but because you're down to one lane, we are seeing some slowdowns as you make your way from Woods Cross into Bountiful. Eric?
From Springville to Point of the Mountain, 22-minute drive northbound I-15 in Utah County. And the major feeders from Highway 6 and Spanish Fork up to Timpanogos Highway, all of those looking good getting over to I-15. From now through July, get triple rewards points on gas and travel with a Visa Platinum Rewards card from Cyprus Credit Union. Visit cypruscu.com to learn more. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll be running 7 degrees cooler today compared to yesterday. 83 the high, partly cloudy skies, and a little breezy. Overnight lows in the low to mid-60s, mild, little breezy, and mostly cloudy. 84 tomorrow, slight chance for a PM storm, breezy. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Waking up on this Tuesday morning to 66 degrees.
So Russian President Putin made his first public remarks after this, what looked like a march to attempt to overthrow the government from the Wagner Group. But we'll hear what Putin has to say, or had to say, coming up in a moment on KSL News Radio.
Stay with us at 102.7 FM and 1160 AM. It's Tim and Amanda to start your day here on KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
Hey, this week it's the summer savings event from Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Today and tomorrow only, Zero Res is running their $25 carpet cleaning special. $25 per room for the no residue cleaning that you've come to love. And seriously, once you've had the best, why would you ever go back? Carpets, tile, air ducts, furniture, Zero Res can bring the whole home back to life. Maybe you're sensitive to dust and pollen, or maybe you're just sensitive to having to look at dirty carpets. Either way, the Zero Res cleaning process is exactly what you need. Schedule your cleaning today and get your carpet cleaned for just $25 per room. 4-room minimum, but no maximums. Cleaning every room in the house, just $25 each. Zero Res is keeping the call center open late to help as many people as possible, but you only have until 6 p.m. on Tuesday night to get this deal. Serving Nephi to Ogden, Park City to Tooele. Call or schedule online at zerores.com. That's zerores.com.
Boyd Matheson on the pitfalls of politics.
I think the biggest thing we all have to reject is the status quo. We have to reject the kind of politics that have been served up to us and that we've bought into. The biggest question for all of us is, what are we afraid of? And often what we're afraid of is losing power. Politicians often tell us, you can vote for whoever you want, but if you vote for someone other than me, you'll lose power, you'll lose influence. And we have to reject that. Our voting right is our most sacred and fundamental right. Vote for the best person, even if they're not in either political party. Some will try to convince you that's throwing your vote away and the evil, awful other side is going to win because of that. That's what they want you to believe. Because if you're functioning out of a position of fear, we all lose. You'll vote for the status quo, and that keeps the status quo in power.
Join Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Good morning, KSL News Time, 5:45. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
a new report alleges that Utah's care centers for adults with disabilities have terrible conditions and that they don't face significant consequences for the deaths and assaults of their patients. I'm KSL News Radio's Peter Johnston.
Second, get ready to see some big military planes flying low later this morning. The Air Force will be doing a statewide flyover.
Third, it's traffic and weather together.
And right now, travel on I-15 is still running a little bit, is running really well through the Salt Lake Valley, but running a little bit heavy in Davis County around the Farmington I-80 or Farmington Highway 89 interchange that turns to Legacy. And we still have some northbound Legacy slowdowns in Woods Cross going into West Bountiful as well. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, we're back to our 80-degree days with a slight chance for thunder tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, 65 downtown.
With KSL's top national stories.
Lingering travel headaches for thousands of people. There were hundreds of weather-related and residual cancellations nationwide yesterday. ABC's Janice Yu is at Newark Airport this morning.
Airports across the country continue to be impacted. This is just kind of a trickle-down situation where one airport will be impacted and therefore it will impact another airport. And this is all as airlines try to get operations running smoothly again after the bad weather we experienced, as well as some issues with technology.
The head of United is blaming the FAA for reducing flights by 75% at Newark on Monday. Former President Donald Trump heard on an audio tape obtained by ABC News talking about the classified documents taken from the White House, the evidence expected to be used in special counsel Jack Smith's case. Russian authorities say they have closed the criminal investigation into the armed rebellion led by Wagner mercenary group and its chief Yevgeny Prigozhin. The Russians saying Prigozhin and the 25,000 members won't be prosecuted. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Matter of fact, let's go in depth on that. Russian President Vladimir Putin made his first remarks following the failed attempt to overthrow the government.
ABC News correspondent Inez de la Catera joins us live from Paris. What did President Putin have to say, Inez?
Hey, good morning. Yes, we did see the Russian president in a video that was released. These were pre-recorded remarks, the first time we've seen him since the rebellion. So he thanked Russians for their endurance, their solidarity, and their patriotism. He said the armed rebellion would have been suppressed, so clearly trying to project strength there. And he said the organizers of the rebellion had betrayed their country and their people. At the same time, though, he also said the majority of Wagner fighters are patriots. So really trying to walk a fine line there, kind of trying to have it both ways, really. On the one hand, slamming the organizers of the rebellion, talking about how the rebellion would have been suppressed, but on the other hand, also saying that the majority of these mercenary men are patriots. He thanked them for not following through with the rebellion, and he's offering them the option of joining the Defense Ministry, other law enforcement agencies, or returning home. And we should point out that the FSB, and Sherry just mentioned it there, but the FSB dropping the criminal case investigating the rebellion, they're saying the case was closed because it has been established that the participants stopped their actions.
We also heard from Prigozhin, who is saying that he wasn't trying to overthrow the government. He was trying to make sure that Wagner actually was able to continue as a force, but it sounds like it worked just the opposite.
That's right, yeah. So Prigozhin also released a video. In his case, it was an 11-minute video explaining why his troops had reversed course. He said they had no goal of overthrowing the government, and he insists, like you say, that the purpose of the march was to prevent the losses of his troops. We know part of the reason he launched this march on Moscow was he claims that a Russian airstrike killed many of his men, unclear the exact numbers, but he says many of his men were killed there. The Russian military denies that they were behind this attack, but Prigozhin launched his march on Moscow in part to demand justice for his troops. So Prigozhin said that's what they were getting at, and that he was also trying to hold accountable the people who've made a number of huge mistakes during the war in Ukraine. But he insists we did not want to shed Russian blood. We went to demonstrate our protest and not to overthrow the government in the country. So his comments raising questions as to whether, this messaging, which essentially kind of echoes what Putin is saying, and they seem to be in in lockstep here. There are questions as to whether maybe the messaging and Prigozhin expressing support for Putin, whether that might have been part of the deal that was struck here, this deal that was negotiated by Alexander Lukashenko, the leader of Belarus, between Prigozhin and the Kremlin. This deal that meant that Prigozhin could move to Belarus and that his men would not be punished. There are questions. We don't know, the extent of this deal. We don't know all the details. And there's a sense that Prigozhin may have extracted more concessions from Putin, that Putin may have also extracted more concessions from Prigozhin. And so there are questions as to whether the messaging here and Prigozhin expressing support for Putin might be part of it.
Interesting. We appreciate your coverage, Inez. Inez de la Catera with us live on the KSL Newsline talking about what's going on over there. We still don't know. I know she had to go, but we still don't know who's leading the Wagner troops, do we? I mean, could he lead them in exile, or would it would require somebody on the ground, I would assume?
Well, part of what Putin said was that these forces, these Wagner forces, have the opportunity to join the main Russian military.
Right.
The question is, and we hear those numbers are like 50,000, how many of them would actually want to do that? Because their existence was to work outside of the Russian military.
And they work in various parts of the world. So they're not just Russian troops. I mean, I was reading yesterday about how they're in Syria and other places. So, that's curious.
The other curious part of that is that their existence was at the behest of Putin all these years.
He needed more men.
And he would send them in to do the dirty work when the military either was unwilling or couldn't pull off certain things. And now he's disbanding it, which makes you wonder what's going on.
We'll continue to follow it here on KSL on the In-Depth at 15:45.
All right, let's see how things are going on the roads out there. Hasn't been much to talk about so far. Traffic and weather together is brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Back to Andy Farnsworth.
Well, traveling along the freeways in Salt Lake County, I-15 and 215 are both delay-free and pretty light traffic and volume so far. Bangerter's starting to fill in as you head through West Valley around 35 and 2100 South. 56 West has some delays, but it's actually a little further north than usual. Some wait times at California Avenue, and then some additional delays going up towards the I-80 freeway, about 300 South. I'm seeing a couple blocks of delay a little bit north of that new railroad overpass. Heather?
We're accident-free right now through Weber and Davis County. That includes city streets and major freeways. Everybody is traveling at the posted speed limit right now, but traffic is filling in, especially southbound I-15 to make your way through Clearfield, Layton, Kaysville area. You'll also see a few more cars now on some of the city streets in Ogden and Roy. Eric.
In Utah County, I-15 looking good northbound from Provo to Point of the Mountain. That's a 20-minute drive if you're getting on at University Avenue. Upgrade your countertops with beautiful quartz or granite. With Bedrock Quartz, it's only 7 days from template to installation. With showrooms in Layton, West Jordan, St. George, and Pleasant Grove. BedrockQuartz.com. Eric Butler, KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. We start out with a string of 80s, and then we turn it up to the 90s. We'll go 83 today, partly cloudy skies, a little breeze. Tomorrow, slightly breezy, chance for a PM storm, high of 84. That slight chance for PM thunderstorms persists in the Thursday, 84. 86, mostly sunny for your Friday, and then we get hot. 91, sunny skies on Saturday. Sunday, 94, ample sunshine. Working into Monday, 96, and mostly sunny skies. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now it's 65 degrees downtown. The 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
We'll get another look at money news coming up in just a minute, and our countdown, the 100 days to Big 12 Cougar football coming up.
As I look at my path to the NFL, I wouldn't have been able to do it by myself. Having a supporting cast for me made all the difference, both on and off the field. And the thing I realized this last year was having that supporting cast made my dreams and my goals a reality. I prepare as best as I can for every situation on the football field. You know, that same mindset applies to me as a husband, as a dad. And being a new father with an 8-month-old child, I've realized that I now have a responsibility to my son and to my wife, just like I do my teammates. I spend all my time being a quarterback, and I need to find people that I can trust and rely upon. Deseret First Credit Union, they are those people that are spending all that time to help me manage and take care of my family. My name is Taysom Hill, and my why is faith, family, and football.
At Your Service Pros Heating and Air recently received the following review on Yelp. I'm so glad I got a second opinion from At Your Service Pros. They identified the same items of work to be done, but gave me a much more realistic quote. I'll definitely use them again. Thanks, Seth. We're glad we were able to do the repairs for less than half of what the other company quoted him. There's a reason we're one of the highest rated companies on both Google and Yelp. If you want a free second opinion on your HVAC repairs, give us a call at 801-YOUR-PRO. That's 801-YOUR-PRO.
Watching Utah's Money is brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. The eviction moratorium in March of 2020 has protected housing of many low-income tenants in Oakland, California. But some landlords have gone without rental income for the last 3 years and are demanding an end to the eviction ban. The eviction ban will be lifted July 15th.
The Supreme Court declined to hear an appeal by Apple and Broadcom against the California Institute of Technology. The institute was previously awarded $1.1 billion from the two companies for infringing on Caltech's wireless technology patents.
A recent survey of 2,500 American workers shows that being paid what you think you're worth is important, but it's not the only thing. Having the power to control when and how much you work is a big part of employees' happiness in their work.
Let's get a look at your money at this moment, and the futures markets are mixed. The Dow futures are off 0.1%. That's 41 points. The S&P futures are up 4.5. That's 0.1%. The Nasdaq futures up 53, which is almost 0.4%.
It's the 100-day countdown to Cougar football, brought to you by Bish's RV. Here's BYU insider Mitch Harper.
Past BYU standalone media days are gone as well. Replacing them is Big 12 Media Day and a golf scramble. Yesterday, BYU football hosted the local media at Cedar Hills Golf Course for an event to get ready for the upcoming move to the Big 12 Conference. BYU head coach Kalani Sitake, who was in a foursome with Jay Hill, Fessy Sitake, and Kelly Papinga, scored 11 under par in the event. They finished in second place, but Sitake admits he's not the greatest on the links.
This is cool. Now we get to get some bragging rights and who's the best golfers. And I don't know if you want to be a best golfer. That means that you're probably not doing your job enough.
You can read all the details on the winners from BYU's Media Scramble and how the KSL sports team fared on KSLSports.com. Countdown to Cougar football, 67 days to go. I'm Mitch Harper, KSL Sports.
Get ready to wish upon a star as the Utah Symphony brings the magic of Disney to life. With 4 princess vocalists, a charming prince, a fairy godmother, and projections of Disney film clips, this is an unforgettable concert experience for the kids and kids at heart. July 7th at the Utah Symphony's Deer Valley Music Festival in Park City. Then on July 8th, Hamilton and Beauty and the Beast star Joshua Henry makes his festival debut. The Grammy winner and 3-time Tony nominee brings his rare talent to a program of Broadway hits and soul classics. Tickets are going fast. Get yours today at DeerValleyMusicFestival.org.
The Utah Symphony's Deer Valley Music Festival. Visit DeerValleyMusicFestival.org for information.
Boyd Matheson on the pitfalls of politics.
Sadly, both political parties are more interested in scoring political points than they are solving the American people's problems. They're playing a zero-sum game, and it's not zero-sum. It's everybody coming together. We have to come together. Compromise has integrity. That's a big part of what's going wrong in our nation's capital and in many conversations around the country.
Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Win great prizes from KSL News Radio. This week, win a pair of tickets to see the Beach Boys, July 14th at Snow Park Amphitheater. This summer, the Beach Boys return for 2 unforgettable nights, live with the Utah Symphony at the Deer Valley Music Festival. Or win a 4-pack of tickets to Lagoon. Lagoon, it's what fun is. Get started now by texting the word contest to 57500 or visit KSLNewsRadio.com/contest.
5:59 now. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s. Brought to you by Granite Credit Union's High Yield Savings Certificates. How's it looking, Andy?
Amanda, through the valley, I-15 looks great. Most of the roadways do. State Street a little bit busy right now, northbound going past 106 South and Sandy. I see Bangor a little bit busy near the 201 freeway, and then that weird little 5600 West delay up by the 300 South intersection going up through that warehouse area district up towards I-80. Heather?
The only thing holding people up sometimes is a road construction. We've got the barrels out northbound Legacy Parkway through Woods Cross area, and sometimes there's just enough traffic to slow people down. But overall, it's a great drive in Weber and Davis counties with no problems right now southbound I-15 from Ogden to Salt Lake. Eric.
Looks like we got a little bit of slowdowns on I-80 eastbound, westbound, primarily heavy semis, I would imagine, and that's primarily going to be over to the right side, too. So stick to the left if you're heading through Partley's Canyon this morning, going over the top of the summit. You'll be just fine. I-15, Utah County, northbound, southbound, running at a normal pace. It's a 20-minute drive from University Avenue in Provo up to Point of the Mountain. And if you're on Eagle Mountain, Saratoga Springs, it's early, so right now it looks good. Heading on to Mountain View Corridor, which turns into 2100 North, that looks good. Eastbound over to the freeway. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're only going to hit 83 for a high today and stay right there in the mid-80s all the way through Friday of this week, which is nice. Sun's starting to come up over there on the Wasatch at 66 degrees.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
Good morning. KSL News Time is 6 o'clock. This is Utah's Morning News. I'm Tim Hughes.
And I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour.
A Utah County Sheriff's deputy has pleaded guilty to crashing into and killing a BYU student 2 years ago.
KSL News Radio's Adam Small is live with details. Adam?
Amanda, Joseph Richardson has pleaded guilty to misdemeanor negligent homicide in a crash that killed 22-year-old BYU student Joseph Spencer just days before he was scheduled to be tried for felony manslaughter. KSL.com reports charges will be further reduced if Richardson commits no other crimes over the next year and a half. Richardson was allegedly driving more than 20 miles over the speed limit in an unmarked vehicle when he T-boned Spencer's car on 900 East in Provo in March of 2021. Spencer's family agreed the plea deal was fair. Their civil suit has also been resolved. Reporting live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
The Republican who just got placed on Utah's special election ballot is defending herself after some delegates questioned her eligibility. KSL News Radio's Lindsay Ertz reports that Celeste Malloy is a registered Republican.
Text messages show these delegates didn't think she was eligible. Turns out Malloy didn't vote in 2020 or 2022 in Utah. The state makes you an inactive voter when that happens. But she says she didn't know, and she didn't vote because she was concerned about her absentee ballot while living in D.C. being considered voter fraud. She was working for Congressman Stewart, and she didn't want him to have to answer for her vote.
Malloy also addressed other concerns about using her sister's address on her candidate filing, saying that she lives there when not in D.C.
3 Democratic candidates are trying to get on the ballot in the 2nd Congressional District race to replace Representative Chris Stewart, and they'll take part in a virtual convention tomorrow. KSL News Radio's Tom Haraldson reports none of them are seeking signatures.
Party chairperson Diane Lewis says unlike Republican candidates, the 3 Democratic hopefuls are not seeking signatures to get on the ballot.
It was a short time to gather signatures. That's it's usually 3 months, and it was 3 weeks, so pretty tough to gather those signatures, and it costs a lot of money when you're doing it, so I think they just all chose just to do the convention route.
The legislature has set the primary date for September 5th and the general election date for November 21st. Tom Haraldson, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories this hour. New details about the Wagner mercenary group's leader who is speaking out about his short-term revolt and march toward Moscow.
Prigozhin broke his silence from an unknown location, saying in an audio recording that his goal was not to overthrow Putin's government, but rather to protest Moscow's attempt to dissolve his forces into the Russian army.
ABC's Justin Finch reporting from Washington.
An update on the cleanup and recovery efforts in Montana after a freight train derailment sent cars into the Yellowstone River. Montana officials say 9 rail cars are still submerged, and some of them are still leaking asphalt into the river.
There is still some product, some asphalt that's leaking out of some of those cars that are damaged.
Rich Kauger is one of the incident commanders. He says a crane is being used to lift the damaged train cars out of the river. Some of the cars also carried molten sulfur.
Fresh promises of less traffic, better mass transit, and even a reduction in pollution in New York City.
As soon as next year, drivers could be charged a toll to enter Midtown Manhattan, one of the busiest commercial areas in the world. Similar systems have been in place in cities like Singapore and London and boosted bus travel while improving air quality. Fees have yet to be finalized, but one proposal would charge each driver $23 for entering the congestion zone during rush hour.
ABC's Andrew Dimbert reports critics say the new toll would crush taxi drivers and commuters from neighboring states who already pay up to $17 to enter a tunnel or cross a bridge into the city.
First look traffic now on this Tuesday morning, and we say good morning to Andy Farnsworth.
Good morning, Amanda. I-15 continues to look good, both from Ogden and Provo towards Salt Lake City. We've seen some reduced speeds on I-80 at the top of Parley's Canyon. We've had some construction-related slowdowns on Legacy. I don't see that now. But we did have one of our listeners tell us it's taken a bit to go east on 5600 South and get into the Roy Gate at Hill Air Force Base. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
A new report says Utah's long-term care centers for adults with disabilities falls far short of adequate care for its patients. KSL News Radio's Peter Johnston joins us live with that story. Peter?
Tim, the Disability Law Center of Utah focuses on one patient in this report named Chen Wen, who faced terrible conditions at one facility before dying by suicide at another. Nate Cripps from the Law Center says it's unacceptable and stands for a larger disorganization at the state level.
So the fact that there isn't coordinated care for this population is frustrating, and that he went without his medication for so long that he attempted suicide once, and they were able to stop it, but then couldn't prevent the second attempt.
The report criticizes Utah's larger system of long-term care for a culture that favors businesses over patients. The state's Department of Health and Human Services has responded saying that their heart goes out to the families of these victims and that they are looking for ways to improve. Reporting live, Peter Johnston, KSL News Radio.
A new bridge is blocking the Weber River in an area that gets over 60,000 tubers and rafters each summer. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson reports this is more than an inconvenience. It may be dangerous.
Kyle Hooker, who runs Barefoot Tubing in that area, says he plans on taking precautions to ensure his clients' safety around the bridge, but there are a lot of people who run the river without any guide or tour and may not know how dangerous that area can be. Hooker worries we may see some injuries because of it.
The temporary bridge is located near Croydon and will remain there for the entire summer season.
Malaria is spreading in several southern states for the first time in 20 years. Details from KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff.
Malaria is caused by a parasite that's spread through mosquito bites. The Centers for Disease Control reports doctors are treating 5 cases of locally acquired malaria, 1 in Texas and 4 in Florida. According to the CDC, there are about 2,000 cases of malaria in the U.S. every year, but those cases are brought into the country by people who have been visiting other places. According to the CDC website, malaria symptoms include fever and flu-like illness and may include muscle shaking, chills, headache, muscle aches, and tiredness. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
The sound of those mosquitoes is giving me the heebie-jeebies.
I hate mosquitoes only because they love me.
Yeah.
And when they bite me, I swell up. Like I must have an allergic reaction to them or something.
You know, my son Ethan does too.
Oh, I try to avoid them at all costs.
Southbound from Ogden, northbound from Provo, everything looks good on I-15 this early in the morning. We'll check traffic and weather together coming up next.
Boyd Matheson helps you to think about the news differently.
What the American people are looking for out of all sides of politics is just give me a vision.
Join an elevated conversation. Inside Sources from 1 to 3. Then Jeff Kaplan and his Minute of News on the drive home on KSL News Radio.
Well, summer's here, and of course, a lot of activities come along with it. But if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling sluggish, if you're not feeling good about yourself, you may just find yourself missing summer sitting on the couch. It's time to shift the game. SOTA Weight Loss, SOTA, stands for state-of-the-art weight loss because it is state-of-the-art, is your path to actually be able to get out and enjoy your summer. The pounds and inches fall away because it's based on science. You have your own nutritionist and coach to help you along the way. And I'm not the only one who's had great success. I lost 37 pounds, got me off the couch, got me back engaged in all kinds of activities, and you can do the same. It's really simple. You've heard me say it before. When it comes to your soda weight loss journey, there's no time to lose. There's only time to win. So start winning. Summer's just right here, and it's a great chance for you to get in the game, get control of your health and wellness, and project a better future. Check it out at sodaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com.
Stop wasting your time and money with ED treatments that don't work. Get the spark back in your relationship with Summit Men's Health. Guaranteed results your first visit. Call Summit Men's Health today.
You're not the one to back down from a challenge. Well, here's one that not only challenges you to be better, it makes everyone around you better. Take the Clear the Air Challenge, starting July 1. July 1st through 31st, you get the chance to reduce your vehicle emissions by choosing alternative methods of transportation using TravelWise strategy. By driving less and driving smarter, you ultimately help improve air quality, reduce congestion, and conserve energy. To achieve this, TravelWise suggests strategies that include carpooling, riding public transit, teleworking, trip chaining, walking, biking, even using scooters, all aimed at reducing emissions and promoting improvement of Utah's air quality. Sign up and get started on the best challenge of your life. Begin at cleartheairchallenge.org and get details. cleartheairchallenge.org. The Clear the Air Challenge, hosted by the Salt Lake Chamber, along with its partners Utah Clean Air Partnership and TravelWise Utah. cleartheairchallenge.org.
The Republicans had their special convention last weekend in Delta, and tomorrow it will be the Democratic Party's turn. 3 Democratic candidates in what they're calling a virtual convention tomorrow for that 2nd Congressional District seat held now by Chris Stewart. We'll follow it, of course, here on KSL News Radio. 6:09, time for a look at traffic and weather together, which we do every 10 minutes on the 9s. Brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Andy Farnsworth is in the traffic center.
Well, Tim, we're still crash-free in this valley. I haven't really seen any slowdowns that you need to be concerned about. Drive time still pretty close to a minimum, 18 minutes. Draper to downtown. It's been about 10 minutes from Lake Point to the airport on I-80. Traffic on the 201 freeway. The only intersection you have to wait a little bit at is this, our 202. Otherwise, it looks pretty good all the rest of the way across the valley and over to Salt Lake. Heather?
We do have delays trying to get into Hill Air Force Base at the Roy Gate. This is 5600 south eastbound. Those slowdowns start at 2100 west, and then they continue all the way into the base and trying to get onto Hill Air Force Base. We also have a report of a vehicle on fire southbound I-15 right near Glover Lane. This is where we had a bad accident yesterday. Hopefully we won't get as much traffic delays through that stretch, but you're going to need to use caution as emergency crews will be arriving on scene soon. Eric.
From Santaquin northbound to Point of the Mountain out of Utah County, looks just fine on I-15. That's a 30-minute drive. We're going into the mountains. I-80 looks good this morning through Parley's Canyon. Got dry roads along the Wasatch Back. There's a little bit of northbound slowing going by Jordanelle Reservoir through that construction zone. Stop by your locally owned and operated Big O Tires for big tire savings this 4th of July. Big O Tires has the lowest price on every tire every day on brands you know and trust. Big O Tires, the team you trust. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, yesterday was 90. We'll go 83 today, so a little cooler, partly cloudy skies, and a little breezy. Tomorrow, we'll go chance for thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. Very slight chance, 84 the high, and a little breezy. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Still 66 degrees in Salt Lake City.
So we'll get up to the 90s this weekend, but in some parts of the country, they are facing extreme heat warnings. We'll get an update from Clayton Neville just ahead on KSL News Radio.
Stay with us. That's next at 102.7 FM and 1160 AM. Tim and Amanda here early to start your Tuesday on KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
Premium checking from America First Credit Union is so much more than a regular checking account. It's a saves you money, makes life easier, always has your back account, because it's absolutely loaded with fantastic benefits and features. In fact, it comes stocked with so much awesome stuff. It was voted Best Perks by Money.com. So make sure you're rocking more than a checking account. Head to America First and apply for the exclusive protection, perks, and paybacks of premium checking today. Subject to membership eligibility and conditions. Federally insured by NCUA. Since 1939, America First has been helping people pursue their financial goals. And as we have, we've become one of the largest credit unions in the country. The reason why is simple. It's because every day we do our very best to help each person, family, and business we serve to realize their individual dreams and achieve financial well-being. True to our name, we always strive to put our members and employees first. So come join us and let us put you first. America First Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. Howard Tucker said, if you're blessed to have a career you enjoy, consider delaying retirement. People who retire are at an increased risk of cognitive decline. Who is Howard Tucker? Well, he's a 100-year-old doctor from Cleveland, Ohio, who still practices medicine. My 93-year-old mother, who no longer practices medicine, last year renewed her nursing license just to keep her mind active and her professional identity intact. Retirement after 65 was for dinosaurs. Business and government need to realize that most of the current generation will work one way or another into their 70s and 80s. Work done right can enhance the quality of life. Enhance the quality of your life with an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
At Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital, we made a bold promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Join us in realizing our vision for the future of pediatric care. So together, we can expand primary children's impact and ensure every child has access to the right care at the right place at the right time. For a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Help us continue to do so for the next 100 years. To get involved, visit primarypromise.org.
At 34, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I finished up my treatments. I truly, truly feel like every day is a gift. I really want to give back, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to help with this study.
Heredogene is an extraordinarily innovative research study wherein we are looking at the genes of hundreds of thousands of participants.
The more information that we have, the more we can help others.
You can help at heredogene.org.
Helping people live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Healthcare, healing for life.
KSL News Time, 6:15. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
this morning you'll see a military flyover from Logan all the way to St. George as the Air Force and the Utah National Guard celebrate 100 years of airborne refueling capabilities. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, Salt Lake City is working on providing customized reports to help people know when and how much to water their lawns.
Third, a look at traffic and weather together.
Well, so far, we haven't had any significant delays show up. Report of a vehicle fire on I-15, north end of Centerville, south end of Farmington around Glover Lane, but I haven't seen any slowdowns on the freeway as a result of that, and or actually seen the vehicle fire in the live cam so far. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
The 80s return to the forecast. We're dry today, but a chance for thunderstorms tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, 65 downtown.
With KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Former President Trump's re-election campaign is responding to the audio tapes in which he appears to acknowledge that he was in possession of classified material outside the White House.
See, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is classified.
Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Here's ABC Chief Law and Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas.
Audio obtained by ABC News involves a July 2021 conversation between Trump, members of his staff, and two researchers on a book that was being written by former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows.
It is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this.
The audio, which is being publicly heard for the first time, is a critical piece of evidence for Special Counsel Jack Smith.
Trump's campaign says the former president was speaking rhetorically. Russia says it will not prosecute the Wagner mercenary group or its leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin.
Prigozhin broke his silence from an unknown location, saying in an audio recording that his goal was not to overthrow Putin's government, but rather to protest Moscow's attempt to dissolve his forces into the Russian army.
ABC's Justin Finch. Airline travelers nationwide continue to be impacted by patches of bad weather and residual flight cancellations and delays because of it.
It's been very frustrating. Got to the airport, got our bags checked in. The flight was delayed, then delayed again, and then canceled. Trying to get my bags back, and I'll take a bus.
He was at Newark Airport, where departures were reduced by 75% on Monday. The head of United Airlines blames the FAA. Different kind of travel frustration in New York City, where the federal government's just given the green light for congestion pricing. Commuters could be paying $23 to drive south of 60th Street in Manhattan. Mass transit official Janno Lieber says it'll lead to
less congestion, better air quality, safer streets.
You're listening to ABC News.
Let's go in depth now. Parts of the U.S. face extreme heat warnings today, with Texas seeing some of the hottest temperatures.
We get the details from America in the Morning's Clayton Neville.
In Texas, it's that draining, at times nasty heat.
It feels wet.
Some residents are sick of it, while others are just dealing with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a daily way of life here.
Temperatures expected to reach triple digits during the heat of the day through the week, and it'll feel as hot as 110 degrees or higher in spots across the Lone Star State. Precautions are being taken amid dangerous conditions. Dallas area rapid transit opening cooling centers along their bus and light rail routes. Gordon Shaddles is with Dark.
Guys, it is really getting hot out there right now. Please, as you're waiting for your bus, as you're making it ready for the next transfer, come on inside, stay cool with us.
The heat certainly can be deadly. A father and his stepson died in southwest Texas while hiking in Big Bend National Park. It was hotter than 115 degrees that day. With that, many paying close attention to the state's power grid as scorching heat and population growth spur record energy demand in Texas. Energy expert and president of Stoic Energy, Doug Lewin.
They expect that we will use about 85,000 megawatts of power. The highest we've ever used is just a shade over 80,000. So that's a huge bump.
The Electric Reliability Council of Texas has issued a weather watch this week and could ask Texans to conserve energy, but CEO Pablo Vegas insists the grid is holding up.
We're not in an emergency.
The heat wave's being felt beyond the Texas borders, too. Heat warnings and advisories stretch across much of the South to include Arkansas, Oklahoma, east to Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi, and out west in New Mexico and Arizona. I'm Clayton Neville.
I have to think they've made some improvements since, was it last year when they had such a devastating loss of power that led to deaths?
Yeah.
They have to have made some improvements since then to diversify where they get their power from, so it's not just one main place.
It was nice to hear them say they're not in an emergency situation, but you have to wonder if they won't get there.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up in Florida, or at least spent some time in Florida.
Yeah, I did, in South Florida.
The humidity, when you talk about the misery index,
you see it looks like waves in front of your car.
My kids' grandparents lived down in outside of Orlando, so we used to go, and it was always summertime when the kids were out of school, but I just couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, it sometimes feels like it's burnt, and you couldn't touch a car. Yeah. Couldn't touch anything outside because it would burn you.
Feel tough for the folks down there with that heat and humidity going on. Be careful. That is the In-Depth this morning at 15 and 45.
6:19 now. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s. Brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. And back to you, Andy.
Amanda, travel through the valley still in good shape on the freeways. I-15, I-215's west side, and I-80 out of Tooele aren't going to see any extra travel time so far this morning. It's been pretty light on most of the major arteries going north towards freeways, although Redwood in West Jordan right now is backing up, I guess technically South Jordan, approaching 9800 south. But Banger's got no extra delays, or Mountain View so far through West Valley. Heather?
Found I-15 in Davis County has most of the traffic right now, but right now there's no delay. So the good news is it's still less than 30 minutes to get from Ogden to Salt Lake. Now, we did have a report of a vehicle fire in the Glover Lane area of Farmington Centerville, but we've never seen it on cameras, no slowdowns there. Where you still have some congestion is on 5600 South in Roy. That's heading eastbound, trying to get into Hill Air Force Base, but that is easing up. It's about half a mile of slowing. Eric.
If you're out in Park City or anywhere along the Wasatch Back and you're heading into the valley, expect a little bit of slowdown on I-80 getting up over the top of Parley Summit. Probably just some heavy vehicles, some ice down in Utah County. I-15 northbound, southbound, looking good. This is the place, Heritage Park, the place to learn, explore, and enjoy Utah history. Perfect for service projects, youth activities, birthdays, weddings, reunions, trail rides, and more. Visit thisistheplace.org. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. 83 today, partly cloudy, slight breeze. Tomorrow, little breezy, 84, and a slight chance for a PM storm across the Wasatch Front. Hey, we keep those PM storm chances on Thursday, 84 the high. We'll go mostly sunny on Friday, 86. Then we turn on the furnace. 91 on Saturday, 94 on Sunday. Working into July 3rd, Monday, mostly sunny and 96. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Just before the sunrise, 65 degrees now in Salt Lake City, and the 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
It's so wonderful to receive texts from our listeners letting us know about traffic problems, or if you see any sort of weather issue, or just commenting on a news story. You can always do that on the Cypress Credit Union KSL text line 57500.
We'll get another look at money news. Looks like we're still mixed as far as the futures go. The futures numbers and the headlines of the day coming up next.
Hi, this is Doug Wright here with another experiment you can try at home regarding water. You can take 4 bags of water softener salt, lift 3 of the bags with one hand and 1 bag with your other hand. Yeah, I know. Now, if you're like most people, you'll probably find that 3 bags of salt weigh about 3 times as much as the 1 bag of salt. And that's an important thing to bear in mind when you're shopping for a water softener. You see, in our home, we have Kinetico, and the Kinetico water softeners are so well designed, they use only 1 bag of salt for every 3 bags that other water softeners use. Now, I can speak to this because we have had a Kinetico soft water system now in 2 different homes, and I'm not a fan of lifting those bags of salt. This is just one of the many reasons you really should look into Kinetico. Their number is 801-576-8600, or go to softwaterutah.com.
Earn $57,000 a year after 2 years as a transportation security officer at Salt Lake City International Airport. Learn more at the TSA Job Fair June 29th at the Airport Business Park on 220 North, 2200 West from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Positions start at $22.49 per hour, include full federal benefits and a potential pay raise after 6 months. Register at jobs.tsa.gov/events, jobs.tsa.gov/events. U.S. citizenship required.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new place. Nothing is everything.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clear skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Watching Utah's Money, brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. Actor Ryan Reynolds and other celebrity American investors are spending $218 million for a 24% stake in the Alpine F1 racing team. So he'll own a soccer team and a racing team.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's got his hands in a lot of things.
Reynolds' business portfolio already contains stakes in the aviation, gin, Mint Mobile, and Welsh soccer team, Wrexham AFC.
I have enjoyed following that whole growth of that Wrexham team that the whole town rallies around. After 3 years, the federal student loan payment freeze will end in just a few months. Interest will begin to accrue in September, with payments restarting in October.
KSL Drive's former Audi executive Rupert Stadler pleaded guilty of fraud in a diesel emissions scandal. He was sentenced to 21 months in prison and ordered to pay a fine. The diesel emissions scandal cost Volkswagen $30 billion and sent 2 U.S. executives to prison.
We'll have the opening bell a little more than an hour away, and we are mixed so far on the futures. We're down a bit on the Dow, off about 59 points. That's closing in on 2/10. The S&P is actually up 3, and the NASDAQ gaining back some of the losses from yesterday. It's up 50.
Now's a good time to head out the door to work if you're up this early, because it looks good on the freeways. We'll check traffic and weather together coming up next.
When your back pain is your foot's fault, this is Dean's story.
It was affecting me when I walked, which is a kind of a common activity.
Dean's chronic back pain had become a pain in the you-know-what.
At first, I just sort of ignored it, but eventually everything catches up to you.
Physically and mentally.
Back pain affects your mood. It really does.
But that's not the only connection Dean made.
A friend of mine suggested I go to the Good Feet store. I was a little confused. Why would I need a foot store? My feet are fine.
But he thought, what the heck? He had nothing to lose.
They took impressions of my feet, and with the footprint, they were able to get me a personalized arch support that, lifted pressure off my back.
So the source of your back pain was right under your toes.
It's something maybe I should have known, but I found out in the nicest possible way.
See how arch supports work for you with a free fitting. Find your Good Feet store at goodfeet.com.
Stop by the Good Feet store in Farmington, Riverton, or Sandy for a free fitting. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit mygoodfeet.com.
Utah needs to replace Representative Chris Stewart.
In this special election, only one person can come out of convention, and that person is Celeste Malloy.
Now we know at least one Republican has made the ballot.
She did get the endorsement from her former boss, Congressman Chris Stewart. She called herself a political dark horse.
Now it's a foot race for a handful of other challengers to collect signatures and make the primary. The drop-dead date is Tuesday the 5th. We'll update the field all this week on KSL News Radio.
I wanted to share with you this programming note that coming up on KSL News Radio, the movie show. In fact, I think this is the last movie show with Doug Wright.
On Friday?
Will be broadcast this Friday from 9 to noon at the Salt Lake NPS store. I think I got to stop by and say hi. That's 1600 Empire Road in Salt Lake City, the NPSstore.com.
KSL News Time 629, traffic and weather together. Brought to you by Granite Credit Union's High Yield Savings Certificates. The guy that's going to be taking over that seat at the movie show, actually, is now seated in the traffic center with an update.
Yep, and it looks good right now on I-15 from Draper to Salt Lake. We haven't had any slow spots yet, so if you're on the freeway, you should be able to get through the valley in little travel time as possible. It is starting to stack up, though, a bit on Mountain View down in Harriman and some additional slowdowns in West Jordan on Mountain View. Bangerter's been good this morning, and SR 201 not seeing any slowdowns crossing the valley so far. Heather?
No slowing yet. Southbound I-15 from Ogden to Salt Lake, but traffic is definitely filling in. You're seeing some heavier pockets of traffic between Clearfield and Farmington. Legacy Parkway is flowing freely southbound as well as you get, and then also hooking onto the West Side Belt if you're getting to the airport. Northbound Legacy Parkway is reduced to one left lane, however, due to construction. Eric.
Well, we're looking good in Utah County, except for a crash northbound I-15 just past the 400 South exit in Springfield. This is over up against the left barrier. Now, we're not seeing any delays going by there. Fortunately, traffic is still not heavy enough for that, but something to be aware of if you're working your way up from Santa Quin Payson all the way to Thanksgiving Point this morning. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's going to be a beautiful day today. The high temperature about 83 degrees. A slight chance of a thunderstorm tomorrow evening, afternoon and evening, the same on Thursday. Right now, fair skies and 65 degrees.
You're listening to Utah's Morning News with Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good morning, KSL News Time, 6:30.
KSL's top story this hour.
Summer roadwork, special coverage on Utah's Morning News.
One of the fastest growing areas in Utah is looking at getting a traffic facelift to help with congestion.
KSL News Radio's Hugo Ricard-Bell has more on our series, Summer Roadwork, and follows up on a meeting held in Utah County to discuss growth and a new interchange.
Construction is still some time away, but the project that looks to free up traffic on Spanish Fork Main Street is in the environmental assessment phase. With the population booming right now, UDOT anticipates the already 5-minute delays to get even worse unless something is done, which is why they are holding meetings this week to take public comment and update residents of where they're at with the project.
Hugo reports it could take up to 5 years before construction is finished. An in-person open house will be held at the Spanish Fork Library this evening at 5 o'clock.
Looks like it may be another tough day for air travelers. Lingering storms on the East Coast are impacting hundreds of flights. Greg Morris has been trying to fly from Atlanta to Albany with his wife and 4-month-old baby now for the past 2 days.
Been wearing the same clothes for 2.5 days now. So not fun.
This morning, we're seeing cancellations for outbound flights at JFK, LaGuardia, Newark, which will, of course, have a ripple effect across the country.
Let's check the holiday travel weather forecast. That's right, next week's the holiday with KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson.
4th of July is looking like it could be quite hot into the mid-90s. Now, southern Utah and into the Washington County area, those low-lying desert valleys, including St. George, we'll see a 4 to 5 day stretch of triple digits working into this weekend and holding for the 4th of July. So it wouldn't be the 4th without that summer heat.
For now, we'll have highs of mid-80s with a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow and Thursday.
The drought's still on, and we're still in a desert, so Salt Lake City homeowners are encouraged to try a new program that tells them the most efficient way to water your own yard. KSL News Radio's Peter Johnston is live with the details. Peter?
Tim, the name of this program is the Water Maps, and these water maps are available on the same website that you use to pay your water bill. The report's only visible to you, and it is based on satellite images of your property, plus weather data. Turf grass is going to require more watering than shrubs, for instance, and hotter weather requires more water to stop the plants from drying out than colder weather. Depending on how much you irrigate your yard versus how much it needs to be watered, you'll get a grade from 1 to 3 or higher, with 3 being excessive water use and needing to pare that back. City officials want this Utah State program to give users reports every month, and another version's in the works right now for commercial, government, and institutional properties. Reporting live, Peter Johnston, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories this hour. New information about former President Trump's classified documents case. ABC News has obtained the audio recording of Mr. Trump appearing to acknowledge that he held onto a sensitive military document after leaving the White House.
After news broke that prosecutors were in possession of the recording, Trump claimed to Fox News that he was not referring to an actual document.
I didn't have a document per se. There was nothing to declassify. These were newspaper stories, magazine stories.
Trump says he had personal items mixed in with the documents, which is why he says he did not comply with a subpoena to return them. Reacting to the audio recording last night, Trump's campaign said the audio tape provides context proving once again that President Trump did nothing wrong at all. The president is speaking rhetorically.
ABC's Morgan Norwood says the audio has been quoted in the Justice Department's indictment, but we have not heard it until now.
A senior U.S. official is revealing more about the deal between the Kremlin and Wagner mercenary group leader.
The senior U.S. official who spoke to ABC News believes Prigozhin will head to Belarus, but will not likely stay there, adding that, quote, his long-term survivability is hard to calculate. Meanwhile, former ambassador to Ukraine Bill Taylor says the attempted revolt highlights Putin's weaknesses right now.
ABC's Justin Finch reporting from Washington.
First look traffic, and here's Andy Farnsworth.
Well, no big delays on the freeways so far, thankfully. It means your drive times on I-15, at least so far, are at the minimum, 30 minutes between Ogden and Salt Lake and less than 20 through the Salt Lake Valley. It is a little heavy on I-80 going over Parley Summit. And I am seeing people kind of waking up and getting on those city streets, but even the extra delay we had at the Roy Gate seems to have thinned a little bit now to Hill Air Force Base. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Prosecutors say they will pursue the death penalty for Brian Kohberger. He's the suspect in the murders of 4 University of Idaho students last fall.
Kohberger is due in court today for a hearing on several matters. His lawyers are pushing to get the state to hand over more materials from the grand jury indictment. They're also raising questions about the testing done on DNA found at the crime scene. Court documents revealed that a cheek swab taken from Kohberger is a statistical match to the DNA found.
ABC's Allison Kosick reporting.
Intermittent fasting is no better than calorie cutting for weight loss in people with obesity. That's according to a new medical study.
90 obese people were in a study led by the University of Illinois, Chicago. After a year, the group, limiting their eating to about 6 hours per day, lost on average about 7.7 pounds. The calorie-cutting group lost an average of 9.5 pounds and was advised on healthier food choices. The intermittent fasting group got diet counseling, but no advice on cutting calories. There were no differences in changes in blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar levels. The study's in the Annals of Internal Medicine. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Well, heads up, later this morning, large military planes are going to be flying over the state from Logan all the way to St. George. KSL News Radio's Adam Small is live with the details. Adam?
Tim, today the U.S. Air Force and the Utah National Guard are celebrating 100 years of aerial refueling capabilities by doing a statewide flyover along the I-15 corridor. The flyover starts at Utah State University at 9:40, then moves to Capitol Hill just before 10, By 11, planes will reach Utah Tech University in St. George. They then loop around a bit to the east, going back up the state all the way to Park City, getting there just after noon. Reporting live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
We do have a little northbound slowing on Legacy Parkway. That's back this morning thanks to road construction. We will take a look at traffic and weather together coming up next.
Breaking news is just one ask away.
Playing KSL News Radio.
New trouble for Amazon. Everything near the parks has turned into an Airbnb.
In your home, tell Alexa, play KSL News Radio. Then listen in your car at 102.7 FM.
With the economy the way it is, you're probably staying put. So invest in your home, your number one asset, with beautiful custom replacement windows from Advanced Window Products. They're a local Utah company building beautiful vinyl framed and insulated double pane windows for 37 years right here in Salt Lake City. Advanced Window Products will save you money on your energy bill. Get security features to keep your family safe. And at Advanced Window Products, it's all custom. And the best part? They're local. They build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. So there's no middleman markup. You save on the highest quality windows in Utah. Plus, Rocky Mountain and Dominion offer rebates. For a limited time, they offer 60-month 0% financing. And right now, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more. They're working 8 weeks out. So make the call now. Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100 or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Have you been waiting to buy a car until interest rates go down? I'm Josh Osborne with Volkswagen Southtown. With our rate cut sale, now there's no reason to wait.
Get 3.9 for 5 years at Volkswagen Southtown on any new car. And we have as low as 1.9 on used cars. Get the car you really want, like the Jetta, Tiguan, Taos, Atlas, or ID4 EV.
Save thousands in interest at Volkswagen Southtown, Utah's #1 Volkswagen dealer. Start shopping at VWSouthtown.com.
Claim since 2022. Financing through VCI on select models OAC. See dealer for details.
Switch to Boost Mobile and get the ultra smooth, ultra powerful iPhone 11 for $49.99.
He didn't stutter.
See every angle with dual cameras.
Make it a double.
All on America's largest 5G networks.
Large and in charge, baby.
Get with the power of Boost and get the iPhone 11 for $49.99.
That's half a Benjamin.
Boost Mobile.
Unleash your power.
ID verification required. New customers only, at one per line. Additional restrictions apply. See boostmobile.com for details.
We will continue to keep a close eye on the Supreme Court today. We don't know whether they'll hand down rulings, but since it's the final week, I guess they could do it any day, right?
And they still have, what did you say, 10 left?
Yeah, 10 left. Affirmative action is one of them. The student loans bill is another one that a lot of people are watching for. That, if it happens, will likely be in our 8 o'clock hour this morning.
6:39 now. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. And back to you, Andy.
No, Amanda, those road work delays are getting worse on Legacy now, going through to North Salt Lake and up into Woods Cross towards the 500 Southwest Bountiful area. The worst of it's just after, though, you get onto Legacy itself. For those of you coming out of Tooele County, the drive on I-80 is clear, but we've got some slowdowns in Lake Point right now on SR 36, but I don't see any big delays on I-15 so far this morning north from Draper to downtown. Heather?
We still have good speed southbound I-15 from Ogden to Salt Lake, even though traffic is filling in, getting pretty heavy, especially in Clearfield and Layton. But you don't have any problems on I-84 through the mountains, or if you're heading south on Legacy Parkway. Eric?
I-15 looking good in Utah County, and no problems there. About 22-minute drive from Springfield to Point of the Mountain. This despite the fact that there is a crash northbound 15 just past the 400 South exit in Springfield, and the cars involved were over up against the left barrier. Like I said, there's no delays going through there, though, so that's lucky for drivers down south. If you're heading over to the freeway from Highway 6 and Spanish Fork up to Timpanogos Highway, and everything in between the major feeders are looking good. Electrical problems? Want to light up your world? Call the electricians with the online guarantee. Call Mr. Sparky at 8888-SPARKY. That's 8888-SPARKY. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, yesterday was 90. We'll go 83 today, so a little cooler, partly cloudy skies, and a little breezy. Tomorrow, we'll go chance for thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. Very slight chance, 84 the high, and a little breezy. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, sun's coming up over the Wasatch, 65 degrees.
Another military aid package for Ukraine on this 2 days after that, what some are calling a failed coup attempt in Russia, even though the leader of that attempt denies it was a coup. But what's in this new package that we're sharing with Ukraine? More just ahead on KSL News Radio.
We'll get the details for you next at 102.7 FM and 1160 AM. It's Tim and Amanda here this Tuesday morning to get your day started on your all-day companion for news.
Today only, Zero Res is running their $25 sale. You don't have to clean today, but you have to get on the schedule. Call or visit ZeroRes.com to get your spot today.
The Division of Waste Management and Control is soliciting comments on a Class 3 permit modification for draft approval to combine permits. The RCRA Part B permit with the post-closure permit at the Tooele Army Depot North in Tooele County. A public comment period will be held June 28th to August 11th of 2023. A public hearing will be held at 6 p.m. on August 7th, 2023, in room 1015 at the Masab Building at 195 North, 1950 West, Salt Lake City. A copy of the draft permit is available at deq.utah.gov. For further information, contact Adam Wingate at 385-499-0293. Individuals with special needs should contact Lorene Weiss at 801-503-5618. Telecommunications Relay Service 711 or by email at lwyss@utah.gov.
It is time this morning for Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News.
This is My Minute of News, brought to you by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air, anyhourservices.com. Fat shaming is terrible. In fact, there's only one place left where they're allowed to fat shame: the doctor's office. I was there last week. You walk in, first thing they put you on the scale, which is located in the middle of a busy hallway. And if you're sensitive about your weight, as you balance your feet, you cringe as you wait for that number. Oh, you bargain. Let me take my shoes off. Here, hold my phone. But it doesn't work. The number is the number. But now there's a movement to stop public weight shaming at the doctor's office. Some women on the web complain there is no reason to weigh you. So the doctor can tell you, well, you're a few pounds overweight and ought to cut back. What person who's overweight isn't aware of it already? This is why they say the proper response is to ask, why do you need to weigh me? Will it change the medication you prescribe? Will I get a different diagnosis depending on my weight? So some people decline to be weighed. Now, at the doctor's office last Friday, I was overjoyed. The scale said 94. I felt 12 years old till I realized it was kilograms. 94 kilograms, which sounds a lot less, but it's exactly the same as 207 pounds. But these kilograms will boost your mood, and that's important because after they weigh you in pounds and you get all upset, what's the next thing they do? They take your blood pressure. Big surprise, it's through the roof. Doctors, you got to flip your scale to kilograms. I swear it'll take 10 points off your patient's blood pressure.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, only on KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time, 6:45. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
a Utah County Sheriff's deputy has pled guilty to crashing into and killing a BYU student who was turning out of a Provo Taco Bell 2 years ago. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, the Republican who just got placed on Utah's special election ballot is defending herself after some delegates question her eligibility.
Third, let's get a look at traffic and weather together.
I-15 still in good shape both directions. Legacy's backed up because of lane restrictions going north in North Salt Lake, and there's still a crash on the left shoulder on northbound I-15 in Springville. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy today and a touch cooler in the low 80s. I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, 65 downtown.
With KSL's top national stories.
Russian President Vladimir Putin addressing the armed uprising with the Wagner Group for the first time today. Putin thanking the Russian military for stopping what he described as a civil war.
Putin accusing the mutineers of betrayal, claiming an armed uprising would have been suppressed anyway, even though they actually got within 120 miles of Moscow. Putin didn't mention either Wagner, the private military company whose mercenaries marched against Russia's military leaders, or its chief, Yevgeny Prigozhin.
That's ABC's Ian Pannell in Ukraine. Donald Trump's re-election campaign says the audio tape to be used as evidence in his classified documents trial proves his innocence because he was speaking rhetorically when he talked about having highly sensitive material in his possession after leaving the White House. Get ready for a big Supreme Court week before taking off for summer recess. The justices are expected to hand down rulings on affirmative action, student loan forgiveness, and discrimination against LGBTQ people. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
President Biden is announcing another military aid package for Ukraine.
Joining us live from Washington is ABC News correspondent Faith Abube. What's in this package? Do we know, Faith?
Yeah, so the details are limited right now. We're expecting to hear more today, but what we know so far is that this is all part of this, this thing that the president and the White House have been reiterating, basically this unwavering support for Ukraine as this war continues there. We learned that they will be sending another aid package to Ukraine. More details to come today, but this will be a new $500 million package. And we're told that it will include armored vehicles and missile systems. And all of this will be coming from existing U.S. military stock. So under the Presidential Drawdown Authority, the president has the ability to allow the U.S. to transfer weapons from its stockpiles to Ukraine. And so this is what's been happening. This will be the 41st time that we've done this as the war started in Ukraine about a year and a half ago. So more details to come on that. But again, the president and the White House have been reiterating, especially in the last 24 hours, really, this unwavering support from the U.S. For Ukraine, especially in the wake of what's happening in Russia.
The president made his first public comments about the developments in Russia yesterday. What did he have to say?
Yeah, so the president says, as the events were unfolding over the weekend, the armed mercenary group fighting for Russia and Ukraine basically revolted against Putin over the weekend. As all of that was happening, the world was watching, the president was watching from Camp David. He directed his national security team to prepare for a range of scenarios. What those scenarios are, we still don't know. The White House won't elaborate on that. But he said that he called some key allies for a virtual meeting as well so they could discuss the situation, ensure that they were all on the same page on how to respond publicly to this. We saw the president yesterday making it clear that the U.S. was in no way behind any of this. And apparently that message was also sent directly to Russia through diplomatic channels. The U.S. basically making it clear to Russian officials that they have an obligation to protect U.S. diplomats despite what's going on the ground, and that the U.S. had nothing to do with this. They needed to come forward, get ahead of any messaging that would come out of the Kremlin, and that's what they said that they tried to do over the weekend, and they continue to do as this continues. The president has been getting hour-by-hour updates from his team on this and continues to speak to key allies on the support for Ukraine as well.
We'll follow up with your help, Faith. Thank you. ABC News correspondent Faith Abube with us on the In-Depth at 15 and 45.
6:49, of course, means we get another look at traffic and weather together for you. Brought to you this morning by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Anything to slow us down yet, Andy?
Well, it's actually getting surprisingly busy in spots on I-15 for this early before 7 o'clock. We've got some brake lights near 90th South, 53rd South. It's getting worse on Mountain View, especially in West Valley near 35th South. Got some SR 201 backups now in Magna at 7200 West. Bangerter, just a little bit heavy coming down the hill in Taylorsville towards 4700 South. Heather?
Lights now southbound I-15 around 200 north in Kaysville. But once you get past that, you're still at freeway speeds all the way into downtown Salt Lake. Our biggest delays are actually on Legacy Parkway northbound, right where you hook on from the I-215 West Belt all the way into Woods Cross. This is due to road construction. You only have one left lane open, and a lot of vehicles are doing that road construction, which is really slowing down the traffic at this point. Eric.
Still got a couple of cars northbound I-15 because of a crash they're up against the left barrier. This is just past 400 South exit in Springville. Again, on the northbound side, we do have a little bit more congestion going through there, but right now it's not registering as delays. The rest of the way to Point of the Mountain looks good. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast, 83 today, partly cloudy with a light breeze by afternoon. Tomorrow, 84, slight chance for a PM storm, little breezy. 84, scattered to isolated storms possible on Thursday, 84 the high. 86 and mostly sunny on Friday, and then we get hot as high pressure pushes in from the Pacific. 91 on Saturday, 94 and sunny skies on Sunday. Working into Monday, 96 and mostly sunny. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, sunny and 65 degrees. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
Well, at least we have the dry heat, right?
Yeah.
Not like they're experiencing down south with all that humidity. We were mentioning that the Democratic Party is going to hold their virtual convention tomorrow. I also noticed on the calendar that the United Utah Party will be holding its convention to select candidates for that second congressional seat today. So I would imagine we'll have some coverage of that coming up for everybody throughout the day today and more tomorrow morning here with Utah's Morning News.
It'll be interesting to see who finally gets on the ballot when all is said and done.
You'll find out first here on KSL News Radio. Summer can be, a great time. Kids are de-stressed. Mom and dad hopefully are de-stressed. But everybody's running in different directions, and so it does raise concerns and problems around the house about when you feed those mouths that are running in all directions.
Yeah.
We've simplified that with Beehive Meals.
Beehive Meals has been really just the answer to a prayer for me because I just got so sick of making the three things I'm good at making. I needed to branch out a little bit. And the biggest pain was just deciding what to have for dinner. I would ask them, what do you guys want for dinner tomorrow night? Well, I don't know. And I don't know. I don't know how to cook. I don't know. I would try and give them a hard time. So Beehive Meals, I get 10 freezer-ready meals every month. I just put one in the crock pot in the morning. It's ready whenever we need it to be. Stays on warm if somebody's late. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I've shared with you, and it's actually word for word that come out of our grandkids' mouths. We're not having tacos or spaghetti again. Are we?
I can only make hamburgers so many nights.
Right. How about sausage Alfredo or brown sugar glazed pork roast or green chili mac and cheese? Those are the kinds of things that are on the recipe menu for this month. And Amanda mentioned you get 10 meals in delivery. You can actually have that twice a month if you want, or three times a month. I don't know.
And they have macro-balanced menus, and they have gluten-free menus. So, man, take a load off and get yourself some good food from Beehive Meals.
Certainly going to save you time, but it'll save you money, too, at less than $3.50 per serving. Find out how Beehive Meals can help your family at beehivemeals.com.
Don't miss America's Freedom Festival in Utah County, a celebration with a mission to teach the honor and patriotism of our great nation. Take in Utah's largest July 4th Grand Parade, Freedom Days in downtown Provo, Balloon Fest, and Colonial Fest in Orem, followed by the state's biggest fireworks show and concert, Alta Bank Stadium of Fire, featuring Journey. For information, visit freedomfestival.org. freedomfestival.org.
Tim and Amanda.
In 20 minutes of listening to Utah's Morning News, you'll hear every breaking story that's happening.
To travel to work, you're going to find out how much time it's going to take you to get there.
You'll hear stories that help you address the problems, not just what the problems are.
Wake up with Utah's Morning News with Tim and Amanda, 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Let's take a look at Utah's money this morning, and it is brought to you by our friends at Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. Starting July 10th, Oreos will now be made with Super Mario characters like Mario, Luigi, and Bowser. No Princess Peach, however. The game they've designed is to use the cookies to defeat Bowser, then sharing your playing experience on social media with the hashtag Super Mario Oreo.
We did not need any more motivation to buy Oreos. They are plenty of motivation by themselves.
But here's not to eat them.
Get
just
to play with them.
Play the game.
Patients with Regions Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance can continue to receive in-network care from University of Utah Health. The two companies reached an agreement that helps provide affordable care and will last multiple years.
That may be the bigger challenge, is to finish the game without eating all of the Oreos that are on the table. KSL Drives, the UTA has received $17 million from the federal government to improve public transit and reduce emissions. The plan is to replace some diesel buses with compressed natural gas and make improvements to 6 dozen bus stops in in Park City, rather.
I've always wondered what a reasonable number of Oreos is to eat in one sitting.
It probably varies for different people.
Because my brother-in-law will eat a whole sleeve.
Really?
Which I know is not reasonable, although I wouldn't say that to his face. But, 2 seems like not enough. So what is a reasonable number of Oreos?
I don't know. Maybe we should ask people to text in 57500. What is your reasonable number of Oreos in one sitting?
But I spend too much time. Let's get a look at your money at this moment. A half hour before the opening bell, the Dow future's off just 5. That's just a fraction. The S&P is up 9.7. That's 0.25%. The Nasdaq future's up 67, which is 0.5%.
Yeah, we've got some busy spots. Bangerter Highway, Mountain View Corridor, northbound through West Valley City, starting to stack up a little bit. We'll check your traffic and weather together next.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
At Simply Safe, your safety is the only thing that matters. Introducing 24/7 LifeGuard protection, only from Simply Safe Home Security. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Even before the pandemic, 1 in 5 American adults experience some form of mental illness, depression, suicide, prescription opioid misuse. Utah isn't immune to our share of challenges, but there is hope. We need to take action to keep our loved ones safe. That's why KSL has teamed with the University of Utah Huntsman Mental Health Institute to bring you hope and help you thrive. It's Healthy Mind Matters. Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
6:59, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Andy?
Right now, Amanda, through the Valley, I-15 traffic is busier than typical for this time of day. It's slow right as you cross 215. SR 201 backups, not just Magna now at 7200 West. Now additional delays between 56 West and Bangerter Highway. Both Bangerter and Mountain View have seen a lot of slowing increasing through the West Valley portions of those roads. And then approaching the freeway, we've got a little bit of delay on Bangerter down at the very south end of the valley. Heather?
Parkway through Woods Cross has eased up for the moment. You only have one left lane open there. But the most traffic we're seeing is southbound I-15 from Clearfield through Layton and Kaysville. Mostly you're at speed, but sometimes the brake lights start popping up in Kaysville. Eric.
I-15 continues to look pretty good in Utah County. We do have one accident northbound in Springville just past 400 South, and this is not causing delays, though. It is over the accident participants, if you will, are over up against the left barrier. Upgrade your countertops with beautiful quartz or granite. With Bedrock Quartz, it's only 7 days from template to installation. With showrooms in Layton, West Jordan, St. George, and Pleasant Grove. BedrockQuartz.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Pretty mild temperatures, really, for this time of year. 83 today. We'll stay in the mid-80s all the way through Friday before jumping to the 90s for the weekend. 66 degrees with sunny skies downtown.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 7 o'clock on Utah's Morning News. Good morning. I'm Tim Hughes.
And I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story on the 7 o'clock report.
A Utah County Sheriff's deputy has pleaded guilty to killing a BYU student in a crash while on his way to an armed standoff 2 years ago.
KSL News Radio's Adam Small is live with details. Adam?
Amanda, Joseph Richardson has pleaded guilty to misdemeanor negligent homicide just days before he was scheduled to be tried for a felony. This is in connection to that crash that happened on 900 East in Provo back in March 2021, where Richardson was allegedly driving over 20 miles over the speed limit without lights or sirens on his way to that scene when he crashed into 22-year-old Joseph Spencer, who was turning out of a Taco Bell drive-thru. KSL.com reports charges will be further reduced if Richardson commits no other crimes over the next year and a half. After the crash, Richardson said, quote, "I shouldn't have tried to beat him." Reporting live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
The Republican nominee on the ballot in Utah's upcoming special election is defending herself after some delegates question her eligibility. KSL News Radio's Lindsay Aerts begins our team coverage. Second congressional district race, and has reaction now from Celeste Malloy.
We obtained text showing some delegates and failed candidates were asking for the party's chair to confirm whether Malloy was even a registered Republican. Malloy now saying she is, and the party confirms she is eligible. But Malloy only re-registered this year. She says she didn't know her registration lapsed after not voting in Utah in 2020 and 2022.
There was so much concern about voter fraud in those elections, and I was working for a politician. I didn't want my absentee ballot from out of state to get flagged as a fraudulent vote. I didn't want my boss to be answering any questions about my vote.
Malloy also addressed why her sister's address is listed on her candidate filing form, something those texts show also concerned delegates. Malloy says she lives with her sister when she's in Utah. Lindsay Aerts, KSL News Radio.
3 Democratic candidates in Utah are vying to get on the ballot to replace resigning Representative Chris Stewart, and there will be a virtual convention tomorrow. KSL News Radio's Tom Haroldson continues our team coverage, saying none of the Democratic candidates are seeking signatures.
Party chairperson Diane Lewis says unlike Republican candidates, the 3 Democratic hopefuls are not seeking signatures to get on the ballot.
It was short time to gather signatures. It's usually 3 months, and it was 3 weeks, so pretty tough to gather those signatures, and it costs a lot of money when you're doing it, so I think they just all chose just to do the convention route.
The legislature has set the primary date for September 5th and the general election date for November 21st. Tom Haroldson, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories this hour. New details about the Wagner mercenary group's leader who is speaking out about his short-term revolt and march toward Moscow.
An angry Putin yesterday claimed the armed rebellion would have been suppressed, denouncing the organizers for betraying Russia, though never mentioning Prigozhin by name. Prigozhin also broke his silence from an unknown location, saying in an audio recording that his goal was not to overthrow Putin's government, but rather to protest Moscow's attempt to dissolve his forces into the Russian army.
ABC's Justin Finch reporting from Washington.
More U.S. aid for Ukraine will be announced today. ABC's Louis Martinez reports from the Pentagon.
The new $500 million military aid package for Ukraine will include more armored vehicles and missile systems coming from U.S. military stockpiles. It includes more than 50 Bradley fighting vehicles and Strykers that could be used in Ukraine's counteroffensive. And it includes more ammunition for Ukraine's troops, including more missiles for Ukraine's long-range artillery and for its Patriot air defense systems. This will be the 41st aid package since the start of Russia's invasion that provides Ukraine with weapons from existing U.S. military stockpiles. Louis Martinez, ABC News, the Pentagon.
An update now on the cleanup and recovery efforts in Montana after that freight train derailment sent cars into the Yellowstone River.
Montana officials say 9 cars that fell into the Yellowstone River following a bridge collapse on Saturday remain submerged.
There is still some product, some asphalt that's leaking out of some of those cars that are damaged.
Rich Calger is an incident commander working on the wreck. Officials say they've brought in a specialized dive team to secure the cars so crews can remove them using a crane. Meanwhile, Montana Rail Link, which operates the train line, along with its union and BNSF Railway, are working to reroute freight trains around the area to limit disruption to the supply chain. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
Fresh promises of less traffic, better mass transit, and even a reduction in pollution in New York City.
As soon as next year, drivers could be charged a toll to enter Midtown Manhattan, one of the busiest commercial areas in the world. Similar systems have been in place in cities like Singapore and London and boosted bus travel while improving air quality. Fans of the New York plan hope for the same.
Less congestion, better air quality, safer streets.
Fees have yet to be finalized, but one proposal would charge each driver $23 for entering the congestion zone during rush hour.
ABC's Andrew Dimbert reporting.
First look traffic on the 7 o'clock report. Let's go back over to Andy Farnsworth.
We've got several slow spots now, Tim. I-15 beginning to slow a bit near the Kaysville exit going south. Some northbound slowdowns near 53rd South in Murray, some backups on Mountain View and Bangerter Highway through some of the West Valley intersections, and SR 201 busier than usual for this time of the morning, especially between 5600 West and Bangerter Highway. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
A new report shows a Midvale Care Center for adults with disabilities had horrible conditions and saw a resident die by suicide after transferring away. KSL News Radio's Peter Johnston is live with more. Peter?
Amanda, I'm actually on the side of the road en route to that exact place. It's called Evergreen Place, and it had a basement full of packed up sewage, no working furnace in the middle of winter 2022, and a bed bug infestation. That's according to a new report by the Disability Law Center of Utah, which focused on the case of a man named Chen Nguyen, who died by suicide after getting transferred to another facility that just didn't have adequate resources to help him. The health department shut Evergreen down in January of last year. Possibly the biggest accusation in this report is that state regulators have a culture of protecting businesses rather than people in danger of self-harm. It alleges there were 14 deaths at these facilities since 2018, including from causes like sepsis and malnutrition, according to the Salt Lake Tribune. The State Health and Human Services Department responded in a statement that they sympathize with those who lost a loved one at these facilities and are looking for ways to improve at ensuring Utahns' health. Reporting live on Peter Johnston, KSL News Radio.
A former BYU professor accused of sexually abusing 3 students has pleaded no contest to lesser charges. KSL.com reports that Michael James Clay was sentenced to 2 years probation and received no jail time. In charging documents, the 3 victims told police that Clay used either religion, his professor title, or his role as their boss to manipulate them.
Tubing on the Weber River may be more dangerous this summer because of a temporary bridge. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson explains.
A bridge added near the Croydon area of Weber River has completely blocked the popular route. Kyle Hooker, who owns Barefoot Tubing and offers tours of the river, says over 60,000 people float down it every summer. Now that there's an obstacle in the way, that could cause some problems.
I get nervous when people are getting on the river who don't know how to maneuver their craft very good, and they have a big bridge that's blocking the entire river.
Hooker plans on making accommodations for his clients to help them navigate the bridge, but he's worried that it could result in injury for people traveling down a fast-moving river without any guidance. Britt Johnson, KSL News Radio.
Regents Insurance has reached an agreement to continue allowing their customers to get in-network care from University of Utah Health. KSL.com reports as of last month, the two were struggling to reach an agreement. At least 120,000 people would have been impacted.
Locally acquired malaria is back in the U.S. after a 20-year absence. Details from KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff.
The Center for Disease Control says U.S. doctors deal with about 2,000 cases of malaria every year. But those cases come into the country through people who have been traveling abroad. The 5 local cases are in the southern border states of Florida and Texas. According to the CDC website, symptoms of malaria include fever and flu-like illness and may involve nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Malaria can cause anemia and jaundice, or yellowing of the skin and eyes, because of the loss of red blood cells. If not properly treated, the infection can become severe and can eventually lead to death. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
You can use Amazon for just about everything. ABC's Daria Albinger says that list is getting even bigger.
A lot of businesses rely on Amazon to introduce their products to prospective customers around the world. Now, Amazon is asking small businesses to help it with deliveries. The e-commerce giant announcing Amazon Hub Delivery. Amazon would pay the owners of businesses like florists and bodegas to deliver packages during the last mile of delivery right to a customer's doorstep. It's kicking off this week in 23 states with a special focus on some big cities like New York, Boston, L.A., and Seattle. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
7:09. Let's get a look at traffic and weather together here. Brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. When we last checked with you, Andy, it looked like things were starting to stack up a little bit.
Yeah, it's getting busy on I-15 in several spots in the valley, including 53rd South. That's not as bad as it was about 10 or 15 minutes ago, but still be prepared for a little bit more than the 20-minute normal travel time through the valley. Bangerter and Mountain View both seeing backups near 35th South, though it seems to be a little bit worse on Mountain View. Tooele County, not seeing the slowing this morning in Stansbury Park or Lake Point that we have over the last couple of weeks. So far, so good on I-80 as well from Lake Point to the airport. Heather?
We've got our typical delays southbound I-15 from Layton Parkway to the Kaysville Ponds. After that, you're up to speed all the way into downtown Salt Lake City. You have off and on delays on Legacy Parkway, and now it's both directions. Southbound now getting slow as you try to get onto the West Side Belt heading to the airport, but construction will slow you down from time to time northbound Legacy from North Salt Lake into Woods Cross. City streets are getting pretty busy as well, especially in Ogden, Roy, and Clearfield. Eric.
Well, the northbound accident we had in Springville has been cleared. Now there's just a touch of slowing at the other Springville exit. That one, the accident was just north of 400 South. Now north of 1400 North. You do have a little bit of northbound slowing going into Provo, but the rest of the way in Utah County is looking good as you head up towards Point of the Mountain. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and plumbing needs. Call 974-9090 or visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air. We got this. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL hourly forecast, mid-60s to start today with mostly sunny skies at 7 a.m. Lunch hour, 78, sunny, light breeze. Into the afternoon, it will become a little breezy out of the northwest. Temperatures top out in the low 80s, but we'll start to see the clouds increase as we move into the evening. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, 66 degrees.
What do Netflix and Costco have in common? They are both cracking down on membership sharing.
Ooh, boy.
More on that just ahead on KSL News Radio.
The parent company of Google is building a system that, listen to this, delivers high-speed internet using lasers in remote areas.
The project known as Tara is part of Alphabet's Innovation Lab X, also nicknamed the Moonshot Factory. Alphabet has previously tried in 2016 to provide internet to remote areas via hot air balloons. Labeled as fiber optics without the cables, traffic light-sized devices beam the wireless internet from point to point in hard-to-reach areas. I'm Chuck Palm.
The Muslim annual pilgrimage to Mecca, known as the Hajj, is underway in Saudi Arabia. Pilgrims are moving through Mount Arafat today.
A London group is creating a form of Olympic-style games designed for people who use performance-enhancing drugs.
London-based businessman Aaron D'Souza is the president of the Enhanced Games, an Olympics of sorts for athletes who juice up. The Enhanced Games will not have drug testing, and D'Souza says his games will obliterate world records. The Australia Olympic Committee is calling the Enhanced Games dangerous and irresponsible. It's not clear yet where or when the Enhanced Games will be held or what roster of non-drug tested athletes will compete.
John Trout reporting.
I'm not sure we should be encouraging that.
Yeah.
Netflix is taking some heat after announcing it's bringing back the movie Titanic to its streaming service less than 2 weeks after the Titan sub disaster.
I guess the question is, are you ready to go back to Titanic? For many, the answer is no.
You must promise me that you won't give up. Promise me now, Rose, and never let go of that promise.
Well, on Saturday, ready or not, as of now, James Cameron's Oscar-winning 1997 film will return to the streamer in the U.S. and Canada. The announcement is making cringy headlines, given that the Titan submersible tragedy that resulted in the death of 5 people was less than 2 weeks ago. Social media is having a field day over the insensitivity of the timing, with many calling it a cash grab. But Titanic was actually reported on Netflix's July films list before the Titan was first reported missing. Despite that, many are still calling the timing wrong and insensitive and are demanding a postponement at the very least. I'm Kim Ashley.
Trending this hour on the 7 o'clock report, more than 1,100 people converged on the Irish town, and I hope I say this right, is it Listowel?
I'm not sure.
To attempt a Guinness World Record. Which record? The largest gathering of people wearing a full head-to-toe Dolly Parton costume.
I saw the video of that. That's funny.
Officials are gathering evidence from the event, and we'll find out the results in a few weeks.
A man from New Jersey found his class ring after having lost it at the beach 51 years ago.
Oh, wow.
The ring was found several miles inland from Point Beach, where he lost the ring. He thinks that Superstorm Sandy may have played a part in the ring's migration.
Wonder how it was found. Somebody out there with a metal detector
Maybe.
or something?
Boy, I see those folks on the beach all the time.
And then how would you reconnect that to the
He must have had his
proper
name
owner?
on the inside, I'm thinking.
That's something. KSL News Time now is 7:15. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
the Republican nominee for the ballot in Utah's special congressional election, Celeste Malloy, is defending herself after some delegates questioned whether she was a registered Republican. I'm KSL News Radio's Lindsay Ayers.
Second, a Utah County Sheriff's deputy has pleaded guilty to killing a BYU student in a crash 2 years ago.
Third, a look at traffic and weather together.
I-15 traffic is a little bit slower in Davis County than it is in the Salt Lake Valley. It's the southbound backups from Layton to Kaysville popping up. The lane restrictions are starting to slow you again on a Legacy Parkway going on to 215 in North Salt Lake. It was northbound earlier. Now it's the southbound drive that's backed up. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy today and a touch cooler in the low 80s. I'm Matt Johnson.
That is another beautiful morning out there,
It
too.
is indeed.
And our temperature, 66 degrees.
Let's get a look at our top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Former President Donald Trump heard on tape discussing the handling of classified documents after he left the White House. ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas is in Washington.
We're hearing former President Trump for the first time appearing to discuss having a classified document about attacking Iran and acknowledging how critically sensitive it is.
Like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. So as president, I could have did less about it. Now I can.
Audio obtained by ABC News involves a July 2021 conversation between Trump, members of his staff, and two researchers on a book that was being written by former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows.
The tape expected to be used as evidence in special counsel Jack Smith's case against the former president. As Vladimir Putin promises not to prosecute those involved, the head of the mercenary Wagner Group now insists what happened last weekend was not an attempt to overthrow the Russian government.
The leader of the Wagner private military company saying it was a protest, not a coup, against attempts to dissolve his forces into the regular Russian army, slated to begin next week, claiming he stopped the advance short of Moscow to avoid shedding Russian blood and that he didn't want to overthrow the Putin government. Putin speaking to military and law enforcement officers in Moscow this morning, thanking them for what he says was stopping a civil war.
ABC's Ian Pannell in Ukraine. The U.S. now approving another $500 million in military aid for Ukraine that includes Bradley fighting vehicles to be used in the war. In about an hour, we could get some big Supreme Court decisions, including one involving race-based college admissions and another involving President Biden's student loan forgiveness program. The conclusion of a new report from the Senate Homeland Security Committee. The FBI and Homeland Security Department received multiple tips that January 6 could turn violent, but sent insufficient warnings to law enforcement. You're listening to ABC News.
Let's go in depth now. Costco membership sharing, saying too many people are lending out their cards.
ABC's Rebecca Jarvis has details.
This morning, the end of freeloading at the Costco self-service checkout. The wholesale giant cracking down on membership sharing, requiring that shoppers now show their membership cards before swiping their merchandise at the self-service kiosk.
When that membership gets shared, Costco ends up losing money and losing profits.
In a statement, the company writing, Costco is able to keep our prices as low as possible because our membership fees help offset our operational expenses. We don't feel it's right that non-members receive the same benefits and pricing as our members.
Costco is able to give members deep discounts on products because they know, based on their purchasing profile, what they're going to buy weekly or monthly. It becomes a numbers game, and those numbers get completely skewed because there are multiple people using that membership.
I didn't understand how they could share because isn't there a picture on your Costco card? Maybe not.
I don't know
Not
because
just name.
Becky. Yeah, there is a picture.
Oh. Randall let us down. Yeah. There is a picture, but they're going to be checking it more now.
And we've always had a joint membership with my daughter, Amber, but I guess that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about handing the card out to somebody who's...
I don't know.
Maybe not even in the family
I'm
or something.
not sure.
But ABC's Rebecca Jarvis, they're following it. So just expect they might be doing a little double checking the next time you get to the counter at Costco. That is the In-Depth at 15 and 45.
7:19, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s. Brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Andy?
Amanda, travel through the valley. I-15 still rolling between Bluffdale and downtown. It's the 20-minute drive. It's cleared out whatever slowing we had in Murray a bit ago. But it has gotten a lot busier on Mountain View from 5400 south all the way to 3500 south. SR 201 still has some Magna and West Valley slowdowns, but the delays are really mostly just around the 5600 west on-ramp at this point. If you're taking Bangerter to get on I-15 coming from Bluffdale over to the freeway, you got a couple blocks of slowing before you can get on to North 15 itself. Heather?
No accidents reported in Weber-Davis County, but we do have a few areas of congestion. One of those remains 5600 south in Roy heading east. trying to get onto I-15. It's about half a mile of delay through that stretch. I-15 southbound has most of the traffic, and it's now stop and go from Hillfield Road in Layton all the way past the Kaysville Ponds. And then you have off and on delays on Legacy Parkway, both directions, northbound and southbound, right near I-215's West Belt. Eric.
In Utah County, getting a little bit thicker on Mountain View Corridor, heading over to the Redwood Road intersection. If you continue on 2100 north, a little bit of slowdowns eastbound and westbound over at 2300 west. I-15 remains good, though, in Utah County. You're looking at a 28-minute drive northbound from Payson to Point of the Mountain. Heading into the mountains, I-80, that's in good shape. Through Parley's Canyon, you got dry roads, no accidents or delays at the moment going out to Park City or vice versa. Utah's Family Fun Rodeo is back July 13th through 15th. The Ute Stampede at Juab County Fairgrounds. Rodeo starts at 8 nightly. Visit UteStampedeRodeo.com. UteStampedeRodeo.com. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. 83 today, partly cloudy, slight breeze. Tomorrow, a little breezy, 84, and a slight chance for a PM storm across the Wasatch Front. Hey, we keep those PM storm chances on Thursday, 84 the high. We'll go mostly sunny on Friday, 86. Then we turn on the furnace. 91 on Saturday, 94 on Sunday. Working into July 3rd, Monday, mostly sunny at 96. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Beautiful sunny morning out there, 65 degrees, and the 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
David Dujanovic.
The David Dujanovic Debrief is sponsored by Jerry Seiner. Turn heads today in your new or used Cadillac from Jerry Seiner Cadillac. Good morning, Dave.
Hey, good morning. Excited today about following the race for Congressman Stewart's seat. We already know that Celeste Malloy is the GOP convention candidate. Now, who's going to be the write-in candidate? You've got to gather all the signatures, but this is what's so wild. It's such a truncated time. They only have a couple of weeks to get 7,000 signatures. So, what happens? Who's going to get it? Becky Edwards, possibly. Bruce Huff, possibly. But if nobody can gather the signatures, then Celeste Malloy is the GOP candidate. So it's this race on July 5th that we know about. So we've reached out to Celeste Malloy to talk to her recently, but we'll also try to get an update on how close everyone is on the signature gathering race. And it is
this
a
process
race.
Is complicated.
Yeah.
Was it always this complicated? I don't think so.
No, a few years. Yeah, the Count My Vote initiative comes in. The dual path is certainly created.
Which I understand.
Yeah, it does make some sense.
Yeah.
But
and the deadline's what, next Wednesday, right?
Yeah, July 5th.
And they usually got 3 months. They have now 3 weeks to do this, which is nuts.
Ready, go. Well, and what's made it difficult is now you have to use professional gatherers. Typically, the idea behind signature gathering was, hey, we can do a grassroots effort. You get your friends and family out there gathering signatures. But with so many people, you have to go out, get a professional, hire them. It costs tens of thousands of dollars. Wow. You've got to verify all these signatures. So it is a monumental task.
We'll look forward to the coverage today, as we always do. David Dujanovic, 9 to noon on KSL News Radio, where the news time is 7:23.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Sundance Lending Company was started in 2019 by solopreneur Stacy, the Loan Lady, Van Rosendahl, with the mission to serve loans with a side of sunshine. Within her first 3 months, she reached pinnacle status with her preferred lender and closed over 100 loans in her first 12 months. President Stacy, the Loan Lady, Van Rosendahl shares more.
At Sundance Lending Company, we know that buying or refinancing a home can be stressful, but truly, the loan doesn't have to be. When you work with a professional who has streamlined every step, the process can be simple. In fact, if you're looking to purchase a home, we can have most of the loan done before you even put in an offer. This makes your offer stronger and makes your life easier. Here at Sundance Lending Company, we do both purchases and refinances. We offer almost every loan type: conventional, FHA, VA, renovation, HELOCs, HELoans, cash-out refinances, and even hard money. We would be happy to run a full loan analysis for you or your friends. Just visit sundancelending.com and fill out our Quick Start questionnaire to get started. Always remember, this is a safe place for questions, and you matter to us.
Sundance Lending Company tailors each loan exactly to whatever a client's goals are for their finances and family. The streamlined process is intended to help you get a loan with the simplest processing possible. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Hello.
Hi, I'm
Mr. Sparky.
What gave it away? The fancy tool belt? How about the big red truck?
Actually,
Yes.
you're on time.
That's our motto. We're on time. You'll see her. The repair is free.
You rhymed. That's cute. Are you always available?
24/7.
24/7.
I don't sleep much. So what seems to be the problem?
Well, my toddler plugged the dog into the light socket.
Yeah, I see your house is blinking like a pinball machine.
Can you fix it?
The house or the dog?
The house.
Well, I'm Mr. Sparky. If it's electrical, I
You
can
can
fix
it.
You betcha.
From a small electrical problem to new lights to smart home services, generators to whole house surge protection, and everything electrical in between. Call America's on-time electrician. Mr. Sparky is fully licensed to install or repair any electrical work. Just call 888-8-SPARKY.
Hold on, this is where we bring in the singers.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Watching Utah's Money brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. The eviction moratorium in March of 2020 has protected housing of many low-income tenants in Oakland, California. But some landlords have gone without rental income for the last 3 years and are demanding an end to the eviction ban. The ban will be lifted July 15th.
I don't know how property owners have been able to do
I don't
that
either.
for 3 years with no income.
I seriously don't
Because you
know.
still have to pay on that
The
loan.
mortgage,
right?
yeah.
Crazy. Just ahead of the opening bell, we're still mixed this morning, and it's just the Dow that's down. It's off by 13 points. The S&P is up 9. The NASDAQ this hour is up 66.
We have a southbound crash on Legacy Parkway just before the merge with the 215 West Belt, causing some problems. We'll check traffic and weather together coming up next.
Men who have given up in their intimate life because of prostate issues, testicular cancer, or simply no ED treatments you've tried have worked. It's not the end. At Summit Men's Health, they have a customized approach for each individual patient to get results they desire and deserve. Stop wasting your time and money with treatments that don't work for most men, like Shockwave, Viagra, or the shots. Summit Men's Health guarantees results in your first visit, or you don't pay. Call Summit Men's Health today and get the spark back in your relationship. Summit Men's Health, 435-500-2790. They're so confident this will work for you, they promise if you don't get results on your first visit, they pay you $500 cash, no questions asked. Call Summit Men's Health today at 435-500-2790. That's 435-500-2790 to get the passion back in your love life.
Summer in Utah means road trips and road work. This week, get information on the construction that will affect how you get around, roadwork plans around the state, repairs to potholes, and a future project in Spanish Fork. Summer construction, this week on KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time 729. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s. Brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Andy, looks like Legacy Parkway's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it's been because of a crash going south on on Legacy just before you hit the 215 merge. So there's some southbound delay. We had northbound delay in the area earlier because of lane restrictions, but the backup southbound is because of a crash. In the Salt Lake Valley, we've got I-15 slowdowns building up again, 7200 to 53rd South in Midvale, and we still have those Mountain View delays in West Valley, especially trying to get to 3500 South. Heather?
Davis County drivers will have to contend with delays southbound I-15 from just past Antelope Drive in Layton all the way into Kaysville. This is a longer stretch of delays than we normally see this time of the morning. Good news is US 89 has been at speed all morning long. No accidents there. I-84 looks good going through the mountains to and from Morgan. And further north, we earlier had some scattered rain showers up in the Brigham City area, but they're gone. Eric.
In Utah County, the only delays on the freeway are northbound I-15 approaching 1400 north in Springville. Past that, everything looks good from Provo all the way to Lehigh and getting over to the freeway. No major issues, just usual slowing over on Pioneer Crossing and 2100 north. On the Wasatch back, northbound US 40 experiencing a little bit of slowing at the north end of Jordanelle Reservoir. You got construction going on there as you head up towards the Park City turnoff. Premium checking from America First is more than a regular account. In fact, it's so loaded with benefits and features, it was voted best perks by Money.com. Apply for it today at AmericaFirst.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today, we're going to be on the warm side. Lots of sunshine and 83 for a high. We'll get up to the 90s by the holiday weekend. Right now, downtown, 66 degrees.
You're listening to Utah's Morning News with Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good morning, KSL News Time, 7:30.
KSL's top story this hour.
Summer roadwork, special coverage on Utah's Morning News.
Summer construction season well underway, and a new Spanish Fork interchange is halfway into the environmental assessment phase of the project.
KSL News Radio's Hugo Rickard Bell has more on our series, Summer Roadwork, and follows up on a meeting held in Utah County to discuss growth.
UDOT representatives told those in attendance that Utah County